Hello, namaste, and welcome back to Astro Divas. Today's episode is one of the most important I have been genuinely looking forward to recording because we are about to step into another big transit of the year. Saturn turns retrograde on the 27th of July and stays retrograde all the way until the 11th of December 2026. Now, that is 4.5 months, 137 days of time, the longest single transit of the second half of this year, and the one touches every single ascendant in some real way. That is why we brought this a month earlier for all of you so we all can learn about it and prepare on how to navigate this transit. So, what is different of Saturn being direct and Saturn being retro? Now, remember, direct Saturn says build forward slowly and seriously, and retrograde Saturn says go back, finish what you have left, and then you may move forward with total clarity. And what is so special about this Saturn retrograde going into the sign of Pisces? Now, this retrograde, as you know, the sign of Pisces, because Pisces rules our subconscious mind, where we secretly hide our problems. Saturn retrograde bringing a strict reality check, forcing every single sign to stop dreaming, stop escaping, reflect, and face the reality. And why Saturn retrograde comes every year is because growth is impossible without a review. The universe builds in these pauses to slow you down, return you to what was left undone, and quietly mature you into your next better self. The slowdown, the past returning, the doubts resurfacing, these are not delays, these are the deep recalibration time for all of us. Now, there is also nakshatra change, the star constellation change for Saturn in these 4.5 months. Very interesting twist from Revati nakshatra to Uttara Bhadrapada. And to walk through all of these with you today is my friend and co host for this episode, Rinki Rajdev. Now, Rinki brings in her years of experience in this field, and I am so glad she is here to share her own insight on these 4.5 months means for each one of us. Welcome, Rinki.
Thank you, Pooja.
And Rinki, do you want to add anything?
Everyone is afraid of Saturn. I feel we should be afraid too because the justice that Saturn can provide, no other planet can. The stability in life that Saturn can give, no other planet can. And similarly, the lessons that Saturn can teach you, no other planet can teach. So, yes, it is indeed a very important planet in the entire universe. Now, let's see how its retrograde journey turns out to be.
Yeah, sure. And so together we are going to walk you through all the 12 ascendants from Aries all the way through Pisces, where Saturn sits for you, which area of life he's reviewing, what you should avoid and what you should lean into, and a small remedy at end of each sign. Now these predictions are ascendant wise. Your ascendant gives you the practical, physical, real world picture of what is happening in your life. But if you want to understand how you're feeling it emotionally and personally from the inside, follow it from your moon sign as well. Both together gives you a complete picture. Now with this, let us begin.
Yes. So let us begin with Aries ascendant. See, although Saturn and Mars are generally considered enemy planets, but we should not forget that for an Aries ascendant, Saturn commands two most important houses: the 10th house, the Kendra house, career status, public image, and the 11th house, the Param Upchaya house, gains, network. So, yes, for an Aries ascendant, Saturn becomes a very important planet indeed. Now, imagine when this Saturn, being the 10th and the 11th Lord, is retrograde and moves into the 12th house. What kind of impact you should expect? See, when Saturn goes retrograde, it's like universe calls for a mandatory timeout. Saturn is a great teacher, planet of karma, discipline. Now, when it moves backwards, its energy turns inward. It becomes exceptionally strong, internalized, and forces a review of its energies. Moving into 12th house, which is the Pisces, this powerhouse of career and gains enters the house of isolation, foreign lands, and spiritual release. So now look at the placement first. 12th house is the subconscious mind. A retrograde Saturn here means that you will carry a profound psychological weight or a deep sense of responsibility that might not easily be shared with the world. There'll be slow motion isolation. You may experience period of forced isolation or feel lonely even in a crowded area. However, being retrograde, it gives you the inner strength to look inwards and face the deepest fear. You can experience delayed sleep or rest patterns. Saturn slows things down. Now, placed in the 12th, it can cause initial sleep disturbances, yes. It can give you vivid dreams or an overactive mind at night. So, this will actually require a conscious effort from your side to unwind. Now, what things you can expect during this particular period? See, success will come from working silently behind the scenes rather than in public roles. Why? Because 10th Lord is getting retrograde in the 12th house. Financial gains such as due promotion or stuck money may arrive after unexpected expenditure on acts of material release, moving towards the 12th, 11th house. The social circle becomes highly selective with a preference for deep and spiritually oriented people. You would want more of one on one connections. There'll be career alignment or maybe shift towards foreign land, multinational companies, or a psychological or intuitive fields. See, professional projects may face repetitive reviews or delays. Why? Because 10th Lord is getting retrograde in the 12th house. So you probably might not be satisfied with your work. You'll feel that every time you need a fresh review. There may be karmic debt settled through unexpected financial burdens, 12th house. A sense of duty or an anxiety can lead to heavy internal mental blockage, which you need to avoid. Retrograde Saturn can cause travel, particularly long distance, or issues in the feet or calves because 12th house governs your feet. Now, since Saturn commands the 10th house of career and the 11th house of gains, its retrograde motion will prompt you to reconsider all your professional decisions, questions your long term ambitions, thoroughly reassess your social networks and your friend circle, engaging you to maybe reassess your aspirations from a deeper level. Now we'll look at the lordships. 10th and the 11th lord, because Saturn carries the energy of your career and gains into the house of expenditure and foreign lands, the impact is highly specific. Now see, 10th lord is getting retrograde in the 12th house. So working behind the scenes will give you more success, basically working in isolation rather than public facing roles. There could be foreign connections, a strong indicator for career linked to foreign lands, exports, or multinational companies can be expected. Retrograde delay. You might feel that your professional efforts go unnoticed initially, or you have to redo career related tasks before getting the due credit. Now, 11th lord of gains and social network is getting retrograde in the 12th house. So, there could be gains through losses. How? To gain, you have to spend or invest first. Money might flow out as quickly as it comes in if you do not manage it properly. You will be very selective about your social circle. You may prefer a few deep connections or may completely withdraw from your network to recharge. But trust me, this will go a long way in your internal journey. Now, Saturn has three aspects. The first aspect is on the second house, Taurus. It brings a karmic focus to your resources and values. It encourages financial discipline and challenges to your communication with wisdom, while also highlighting the importance of your family foundation. Since second house is also your food, you should be mindful of self-induced food issues, carefully monitoring your diet and eating routines, because Saturn's third aspect will fall on the second house, which is related to wealth. So if you are thinking of liquidating any property or any investment, this is the time you can do so. If you need to sell a property, this is the perfect window for you to go about it. Now, second aspect will fall on the 7th. Now, the second aspect of Saturn will fall on the 6th house, Virgo. So, directly facing your house of daily routine and health. This indicates that while you may face chronic health challenges or struggles with your daily habits, it ultimately gives you the grit and resilience to overcome all forms of oppositions and manage your work. In fact, you will be forced to take care of your health. This can also indicate success in the health sector, legal sector, or service sectors. Why? Because 6th house governs all these things. Finally, the 10th aspect will fall on your 9th house, the Sagittarius, stimulating your desire for higher learning, philosophy, long distance travel. It will actually prompt you to question traditional beliefs and seek a deeper understanding of life's true wisdom through your own potential effort. See, this is a profound journey of Saturn, highlighting a clear shift in energetic force and divine protection. This journey will be basically divided into two portions. From July 27th to October 9th, Saturn will retrograde in Revati Nakshatra, which is ruled by Mercury. So during this time, Jupiter will cast its ninth aspect onto Saturn, which will act as a major saving grace. This divine intervention will soften the blow, turning this period into a cushioned audit, and will offer a gentle adjustment and introspection. However, next there'll be shift. And then post 9th October, there'll be a major shift. Saturn moves back into its own nakshatra, Uttara Bhadrapada, and Jupiter shifts into Leo. So that protective aspect of Jupiter withdraws. This will be with this Saturn will be entirely on its own in its own domain. Saturn transforms into an uncompromising and a powerful taskmaster. This marks the time when the real decision lands, where your foundations are rigorously tested and the results of your efforts are made clear. Now, few practical tips and remedies. See, working with foreign companies, foreign alliance would be very good. Working behind the curtain would be very good. Digital platforms that reach a global audience or background management would be best suited during this time. Now, embrace solitude, schedule regular digital detox, and me time to prevent burnout. It is very important that you should regulate your sleep, since 12th house rules sleep. Maintaining a strict disciplined bedtime routine helps channel Saturn's energy and its retrograde motion. Charity in silence. Do not forget that 12th house is the house of donation, charity, anything which you do, which you want to keep hidden. So, yes, and do donation without seeking any validation or public praise. Meditation and breath work is a must, especially for Aries ascendant, since 12th energy is really high this time. If you are watching this from an Aries moon perspective, then this is the time you have entered the first phase of Sade Sati. I mean, of your 7.5 Sade Sati cycle. Because Saturn is transiting in the 12th house from your natal moon, this period focuses intensely on your subconscious mind, expenditure, sleep cycle, and things that are hidden or distant. When Saturn turns retrograde here, its energy turns deeply inward and it gets amplified too. For a naturally impulsive, forward looking Aries moon, this reverse motion in a watery private house can feel really heavy. It will force you for an intense internal audit as to why you are leaking your energy, time, and money. So, what effect this retrograde Saturn will have on an Aries moon? See, your subconscious mind will become a pressure cooker. Yes, 12th house rules isolation and the subconscious. With Saturn retrograde, long buried anxieties, unaddressed griefs, or deep seated fears will float to the surface. Basically, universe is intentionally asking you to clean off this baggage. So yes, lot of work would be required from your end. Financial auditing and unexpected leaks. The first phase of Sadesati often brings a sudden spike in the overhead expenses. Why? Because Saturn is transiting 12th from your natal moon. So during this retrograde, old financial commitments, hidden liabilities, past investments will demand your attention. You might feel a temporary strain on liquid cash, forcing you to cut out on spending. Now, sleep disturbance. Yes, 12th house rules your sleep and bed comfort. Saturn's heavy restrictive energy can manifest as insomnia, vivid dreams, or feeling of waking up exhausted. It's very important that you indulge into deep meditation. So it's important that you keep your body hydrated and keep a strict sleep schedule. There'll be a feeling of forced isolation. As an Aries moon, you prefer direct action and outward consequences. However, this transit creates a scenario where you might feel temporary sideline, lonely. You might not feel like mixing up with people. You might not feel like going up in the social gatherings. So it's absolutely okay. Don't force yourself during this time. Now, what practical tips and remedies you can do during Sade Sati which will ease off your burden? See, master the art of controlled solitude. Meditation, at least 20 to 30 minutes a day, is very important. Plunk the financial and energetic leak. Meticulously track your expenses. Do not indulge in unnecessary expenses. Practice surrender over resistance. This is the only thing you can do. Chant Hanuman Chalisa, because Hanuman Chalisa is the best remedy you can do during Sade Sati. If you are already reading, it's okay. If you haven't started, start from any Saturday. So now closing line for Aries ascendant would be, let the reverse motion be your guide to rethink so you can find your true strength within. Now, see, Saturn retrograde will have different effects for everyone. How it lands for you depends on your own chart and your dasha running. So, for a personalized reading on exactly how this plays out to you, you can reach out to us on mobile number or email ID given on the screen. Thank you so much. All the best to all the Aries ascendant.
Welcome to all the Taurus rising. Taurus Saturn retrograde is here from July 27th to 11th of December 2026. Now, this transit is asking you to pause, look back, and rebuild. And here is why it is most important for you. For your chart, Saturn is your Yoga Karka, the single most important planet of your entire horoscope. He rules your ninth house of luck and fortune and 10th house of career. So when this Yoga Karka turns retrograde in your 11th house of gains, it is now reviewing your most important areas all at once. Now, when Saturn goes retrograde, the universe calls for a mandatory timeout. And the classics are very clear. Retrograde Saturn does not weaken things. The Brihad Parashari, Hora Shastra, or the other classes gives retrograde the highest emotional strength of all, the Cheshta Bal as we know it. So Saturn is at its most powerful right now, and all that power lands directly on your wealth and on your dreams. Now, let's also talk about two phases of this retrograde and understand why they bring different flavor in this retrograde. Now, please take a note here, Taurus. The Saturn retrograde unfolds in two distinct phases because Saturn is changing nakshatra during these 4.5 months. And let me walk you through the both phases. First is from July 27 to October 9th. Saturn is retrograde in Revati nakshatra. Now, Revati is ruled by Mercury, and it forces you to analyze your gains, your income streams, your network, and your long term wishes that you have built on your hopes around. Now, external progress will slow down, but internally Saturn real clarity will be there, showing you where the returns are not matching your efforts, where your network is taking more than it gives, and which dream you have is outgrown without realizing. Now use the first phase to reflect and get the clarity. Now the second phase is from the October 9th to December 11th. Saturn moves back into its own nakshatra Uttara Bhadrapada. Now this phase is heavier, more stable, and more focused on building long-term structure. Now this is where the real, tangible results of your clarity and discipline takes shapes. Expect stability, career milestone, and solid financial outcomes here. Now, a quick note for people who are running Sade Sati. Taurus, if your moon is in Pisces, Aries, or Aquarius, this retrograde lands differently on you. So, watch the section of your moon sign as well because your mind and emotions are also under Saturn's review right now. And if your moon is not in any of these signs, still, we will recommend you to watch this from moon sign. That will give you a complete picture of how this transit lands on you. Now, let's begin with the placement perspective. Saturn is currently in your 11th house. 11th house represents gains, our hopes, our wishes, desires, our friends, social circle, elder, sibling, and our humanitarian work. The 11th house is also the Upjaya Bhava, a house of slow, steady growth. Saturn does very well here, but retrograde changes expansion into a review. How? So just remember, direct Saturn says build forward slowly and seriously. Retrograde Saturn says go back, finish what you left, and then you may move forward with clarity. So, if your promotion has been on hold, Saturn will reopen your file and management will reassess. Do not expect the title yet. tie up the loose end, payoffs will arrive by December. Now, you will find yourself asking, do I still want what I have been wishing for? Saturn will course correct your biggest goals, old wishes fall away to make space for ones that truly fulfills you. Now, expect a reality check in your friendships. Old friends resurfaces to clear the air. Hidden motives can come to the light. Superficial ties can fade, and quality or quantity becomes your theme. You will streamline multiple income streams if you have side hustle or multiple sources of income. This period will force you to review and cut out what isn't working and focus on the most sustainable one. Now, material versus spiritual gains will also be tested during this retrograde because the 11th house represents humanitarian work along with income, and you will start to question on what you are actually doing for society or as whole. Saturn in Pisces, the water sign, will quietly push you to ask yourself, and do these financial gains bring real satisfaction, or am I being called towards something more meaningful and charitable? Now, this is a very beautiful nudge, Taurus, towards finding a deeper, more charitable purpose in life for you. You will also realize you have been overgiving to people who don't truly support you. So, Saturn forces sacred boundaries. So, this is not scarcity, this is a karmic clearance. A past issue or responsibility involving an older sibling could return for review. It's time to set boundaries or finally resolve any old family dynamic. Now let's move and talk about Saturn's lordship. Now, because Saturn, your yoga karka, rules your ninth and 10th house, the impact is layered and unique. Saturn as the ninth lord, ninth house represents our fortune, our luck, father, dharma, and when this Saturn goes retrograde in 11th house means luck isn't a lottery ticket right now. It's a mirror. The more you align with your truth and fix your past mistake, the luckier you will get. Your core belief and worldviews are undergoing a massive internal rewrite. So you are shedding old mindset and questioning with past experiences to find a deeper, more personal truth. Now, long distance travel plans, visas, or higher education pursuits might face temporary delays or administrative pauses. Use this time to double check the paperwork rather than forcing progress. An old course, foreign opportunity, or writing, teaching plan from the past may resurface. Saturn wants you to finish what you began earlier. You may need to reconnect with your father, mentor, guru like figure to have difficult conversation and get over the past issues. Now, manifesting from inside out will happen as the ninth and 10th lord goes internal. Your external luck and career power are completely tied to the spiritual alignment right now. So, if you are stressed and disconnected internally, your career will stall. If you prioritize meditation, rest, and mental peace and reconnect yourself internally, the external doors will unlock. Now, Saturn as 10th Lord, which represents your career, your karma. Saturn also represents karma, so it is his own sign. And this Saturn goes retro in the 11th house means the past projects suddenly will return. Since your career lord is moving backward, expect old professional projects, former clients, or previous bosses to resurface. It's a second chance to fix past mistakes or revive a lucrative business connection. Re-evaluating status and authority will also happen. Now, this is a period of deep reflection regarding your current job satisfaction as well. You will find yourself questioning if your current career path actually matches your long-term ambition, prompting a major strategy shift. Now, this sudden obsession and changing career direction is also due to Rahu being placed here. Now, let's also talk about the aspects. Saturn will cast three powerful retrograde aspects from your 11th house. Saturn's third aspect will fall upon the first house, to you, to your Lagna Taurus. Saturn is directly looking at you right now in the retrograde. So the retrograde forces a massive review of how you present yourself to the world. It's the time to shed any fake personas and realign with your most authentic, grounded self. Stop thinking if you are good enough and start feeling good about yourself. And if you have been burning the candle at both ends, this aspect brings forced pause. It's a call to review your physical health, your daily habits, and how well you manage your personal energy. Now, next is Saturn's seventh aspect will fall on the fifth house, the Virgo sign. So, And any old creative project, a past hobby, or even ex romantic partner might resurface. Saturn wants you to check if these past passions still holds value for your future, and if they are just the distraction. A clear warning here: no stocks, no crypto, no speculation, as fifth house represents all of these. And if you are a parent, children may bring delays or new responsibility that will test your patience, so handle with care. Now you're being asked to take your happiness more seriously. So if you have been chasing superficial fun, Saturn redirects you toward deeper soul fulfilling joy and long term creative investment. Now the 10th aspect of Saturn will fall on the 8th house, where Sagittarius sign is here. Now, with this aspect on the 8th house, hidden fears, anxiety, or unhealed emotional baggage will float to the surface. This is your cosmic window for deep psychological healing and letting go of old traumas. So, expect a review of shared finances, loans, inheritance, or joint investment. It's a time to audit your financial dependencies and cut ties with any toxic, energetic, or material debts. Now, let us summarize for you, Taurus. There is a long list of do's and don'ts that I have for you. Now, Saturn retrograde is asking you to pause and reflect. And it's a 4.5 month, it's a longer time. So, do it shane shane. So, let's focus on the do's first. Kill procrastination. Finish what you started. Old projects, pending paperwork, past commitments. Saturn rewards completion. Review past revenue streams, old investment, side projects, previous clients that once paid can pay you again. Now, audit expenses and subscriptions. Track every leak. The capital you save now will compound by December. Audit your social circle. Keep authentic friendships. Walk away from superficial networking. Prioritize rest and health. Reset your physical habits. The aspect on the first house demands a real health care. Face your fears, let old emotional baggage surface so it can be finally healed. Practice transparency, especially in finance, no shortcuts, no tax evasions, no hidden deals. Saturn rewards clean books. Be patient with your money. Delays are Saturn restructuring your foundation and not blocking it. Reconnect with your father or mentor. A call, a visit, close the old outstanding issues, because remember, ninth house is active. Serve quietly, donate to education, elder care, or mentor without expecting recognition. Strengthen Saturn through Hanuman. Recite the Hanuman Chalisa on Saturdays. Light a mustard or sesame oil lamp facing west direction and chant Om Sham Shaneshcharai Namaha. And some don'ts that I want to share: avoid risky trade, no stock crypto, get rich quick scheme. Saturn in Pisces does not reward speculation, and do not sign long contract in a rush. Read every clause twice. Do not lend money, especially to friends, or do not take a new debt unless it is really, really required. Read the paper twice. Do not switch job impulsively. Wait for clarity, at least after October. Do not launch a new business that needs fast return, and do not buy property or vehicles in a hurry. Do not ignore old mistakes resurfacing. Address them with maturity and with grace. Do not rely on blind luck. Saturn rewards a deliberate, quiet effort and not any windfall. And do not waste water. Saturn in Pisces, a water sign. So offer water to a people tree on a Saturday instead, or your indoor or outdoor plants. So, Taurus, Jupiter gave you the gifts this year when Jupiter got exalted on 2nd of June, and now Saturn, your Yoga Karka, is teaching you how to hold them. So trust this pause. And let this cosmic pause be your ultimate tool to rebuild your foundation so you can claim the true success you deserve. And Saturn retrogrades feels different for everybody. How it lands for you depends on your own chart and the dasha you are running. So, for personal reading on exactly how this plays out for you, do reach out to us on mobile number and email ID given on the screen. There is also a direct link in the for a WhatsApp, which is given in the description box as well. So, wishing all the Taurus all the very best.
Welcome all Gemini rising. So for Gemini ascendant, Saturn holds lordships of two very different houses. It rules over the 8th house, Capricorn, transformation, longevity, hidden treasures, occult, anything hidden, and the ninth house, Aquarius, the house of fortune, higher learning, father, dharma. So, as the lord of ninth house, the most powerful trine, Saturn acts as the Bhagya lord for Gemini ascendant. So, now when Saturn turns retro into the 10th house, Pisces, A powerhouse of career and public image. It creates a unique double strength effect. A retrograde planet is closer to Earth and more intense. When it sits in the 10th house, it forces a deep internal reassessment of your entire life's purpose, professional integrity, and social standing. See now, so what exactly this placement will do in the 10th house? See, 10th house represents your karma in the outside world. It often signals a karmic period of intense introspection regarding your career, public image. So, this placement suggests that your effort may face delays or challenges to teach you patience and value of resilience rather than indicating a lack of inherent potential. It's not that you don't have the potential, it's just that it will ask you to reassess your foundations on an overall basis. See, first, the feeling that your work is not sufficiently rewarding can be an invitation to align your career with your core values and long term purpose, prompting you to ultimately redefine what true success means to you. Second, you might feel that you are drawn to taking on more responsibility or mastering a specific skill during this phase, or transforming obstacles into opportunities for professional growth. Saturn influences creating a strong structural foundation, which can lead to lasting stability, recognition later in your career. But yes, with lots of ups and downs because it's retrograde in the 10th house, the Param Karma house. See now what you can majorly expect during this transit. You may feel an immense invisible pressure to achieve or a sense of responsibility that feels heavier than usual because retro Saturn will give you an intense pressure, uh, and it will be often self imposed. You are your own toughest boss during this transit. There'll be professional review projects that you thought were finished may come up for the revision. Saturn retrogrades demand perfection and ethical clarity. It's very important that you maintain ethics in your professional life. If there were shortcuts taken in the past, this period will bring them to light for the correction, and it's very important that you correct those. You can expect a shift in authority. You might find your relationship with father figure or workplace superiors shifting because ninth lord is getting retrograde in the 10th house of career, public image. There may be temporary withdrawal of support, forcing you to find authority within yourself rather than seeking external validation. But trust me, it will be just temporary period. Now, what major things to expect during this period? Delayed recognition. While you are working harder than ever, the rewards may seem stalled. This is the test of patience. The promotion is being prepared behind the scene. Heavy workload? Yes. Saturn in 10th house never gives a free lunch. Expect a surge in duties. But with the retrograde motion, these duties are often involve fixing old issues rather than starting new ones. Public image scrutiny. Yes, people are watching you. It is time for you to be ethical. As Saturn retrograde acts as a spiritual auditor general of your reputation. Now, reconnection with mentors. You might reestablish contact with an old teacher, boss, or a guru figure who provides wisdom needed to navigate through current professional hurdles. Ninth Lord getting retrograde in the 10th house. Now we look at the lordships. एक minute. Saturn holds the lordship of 8th house and the ninth house. Now, ninth lord in 10th, the fortunate career. Usually, this creates a Raj Yoga combined for success. Why? Because Trikona Lord is positioned in the Kendra house. In retrograde, it suggests that your bhagya, that is luck, is tied to how well you handle your responsibilities. You may find that professional breakthrough occur only after you have fulfilled specific moral and ethical duty. Travel for work may be planned, but face last minute challenges or delay. Now, 8th Lord is in 10th house, so change through career. 8th house brings suddenness. You might experience unexpected shifts in your job description or the management structure above you. This energy will push you towards research oriented work, occult science, or fields involving other people's money. Yes, insurance, taxation, audits. Retrograde motion here signifies that these transformations are necessary for you to actually find the real purpose of your life. Now, retrograde Saturn will have three powerful aspects. The first aspect will fall on your 12th house, that is the Taurus. Saturn casts an eye on your expenditure and isolation. This will encourage you to be more cautious towards spending and financial planning. It may also pull you towards foreign collaboration, but with a requirement for strict documentation. On health level, third aspect suggests that you must discipline your sleep and avoid unnecessary late night habits. The second aspect will fall on the fourth house, Virgo. Saturn directly faces your house of home, mother, inner peace. This creates a work life tug of war. You may feel burdened by home responsibilities while dealing with the career pressure. It's a time to fix structural issues in the home, literally. Direct your attention to your mother's health and ensure your domestic foundation is stable. See, because Saturn, wherever it casts its aspect, it creates a restriction. So you might feel a kind of restricted energy in your home, but it will be temporary, just the shift of energy. Finally, the 10th aspect will fall on your 7th house, the Sagittarius, the house of partnership, the house of marriage. This is the aspect of duty towards others. It brings a serious tone to partnership and marriage. You may feel a karmic obligation to support a partner or deal with long standing issues in a business relationship. It filters out superficial connections, leaving only those built on truth and mutual respect. And yes, even with matters respect to this house, you might feel a restriction. You might feel something is just off. Now, see, this is a profound journey for Saturn, highlighting a clear shift in energetic focus and divine protection. Why? Because Saturn, during this 4.5 retro journey, Saturn will travel through true nakshatras. From July 27 to 9th October, Saturn retrogrades in Revati, a nakshatra ruled by Mercury. So during this time, Jupiter casts its ninth aspect on the Saturn. This will act as a major saving grace. This divine intervention will soften the blow, turning period into cushion audit, and will offer gentle adjustments and introspection to your overall assessment. Now, this shift, this there'll be a major shift afterwards. That is, post from 9th October till 11th December, Saturn moves back into its own nakshatra, Uttara Bhadrapada, and Jupiter shifts into Leo. So that protective ninth aspect of Jupiter withdraws. So now Saturn is on its own, in its own domain. Saturn will transform into an uncompromising and powerful taskmaster. So this will basically mark a time when the real decision land, where your foundation will be rigorously tested and the results of your efforts will be made absolutely clear. So it's very important that these two different energies should be utilized to the best possible manner. Now, there are few practical tips and remedies, basically do's and don'ts. Practice karma yoga. Focus on the effort, not the result. Saturn recognizes honest labor. If the task is returned for review, do it with a smile. It's Saturn way of perfecting your skills. Organize your workspace, since 10th house is a public place and aspects fall on the 4th house, that is the private. So decluttering your office and home will help clear your mental blockages. Honor the elders. For a Gemini ascendant, ninth lord is father, mentor. So serving or seeking blessings from elderly figures or teacher act as a direct remedy for Saturn delays. Saturday discipline is a must. Yes, dedicate your Saturdays to silence or minimum talking. Basically, you can observe a Maun Vrat. This will help you ground the restless energy of Gemini and will align you with the Saturn's nature. Now, feed the underprivileged. Small acts of service to those who work hard for little pay. Example, laborers, cleaners, or elderly. This will soften the strict teacher and energy of Saturn. Now, closing line for Gemini ascendant would be: let this period of reverse motion be the time you build the master plan for your future. ensuring that when Saturn moves forwards, your empire stands on a foundation that cannot be shaken. See, Saturn retrograde will feel different for everybody. So, how it lands for you will entirely depend on your chart and the current dasha you are running. So, for a personalized reading on exactly how this plays out to you, you can reach out to us on the mobile number or email ID given on the screen. Thank you.
Welcome to all the Cancer ascendants. Cancer Saturn retrograde is here, and this transit is asking you to slow down. Look at your luck, your dharma, and rebuild your sense of fortune. Here is why it matters specifically for you. When Saturn retrogrades from July 27th to December 11, 2026, the universe demands a deep review of your faith, your ethics, and your life path. The classic like Faldipika or BPHS, Horashastra tells us that a retrograde planet gains massive cheshta bal. Its karmic lessons become highly concentrated for 4.5 months now. So, moving backward through Pisces in your ninth house, Saturn forces you to pause and re examine your core belief. So, Saturn is currently the most powerful right now. One saving grace is exalted Jupiter is there in your Lagna, casting its ninth aspect into Saturn. He turns external delays into self awakening blessings, at least till October, while he's still in Cancer. So let's begin and also understand few other aspects of this retrogression. Now, first is this retrograde will happen in two phases. They will bring two different flavors. Saturn will change nakshatra during these 4.5 months while being retrograde. So this transits unfolds into two halves. First is from July 27 to October 9th. Saturn is retrograde in Revati nakshatra. Now, Revati is ruled by Mercury and it forces you to analyze your finances, paperwork, networking, and emotional attachments. External progress will be slow, but internally, Saturn will bring real clarity, showing you if you are carrying dead weight, misaligned goals, or relationship that no longer serves you. So, use this first half to reflect and to get clarity. Then from October 9th to December 11th, Saturn moves in back into its own nakshatra Uttara Bhadrapada. Now this phase is heavier, more stable, and more focused on building long-term structure. This is where the real tangible results of clarity and discipline takes shapes. So expect stability, career milestone, or solid financial outcomes. Now, a quick note for people in Sadesati. So, Cancer, if your moon is in Pisces, Aries, or Aquarius, this retrograde will land very, very differently on you. So, watch the section of for your moon sign as well, because your mind and emotions are also under Saturn's review right now. And if your moon is not in any one of these signs, we still recommend you to watch this from your moon sign as well to give you the complete picture of how this transit lands on you. Now, let us see how what this means for you. Let's look at the placement first, the Bhavfal. Now, Saturn is currently in your ninth house. Ninth house is our Bhagyasthana, the house of luck and fortune, father, guru, dharma, higher learning, and long distance travel. Now, this is one of the most important houses in your entire chart. So, when retrograde Saturn sits here, your relationship with luck itself comes under a review. Saturn retrogrades does not deny you these ninth house themes permanently. It merely delays them to ensure perfection. For example, from being spiritually lost, cynical, or disconnected from a higher purpose to building an unshakable realistic approach that does not rely on luck or toxic positivity. So, let us see what all can come to the surface from this beautiful transformation. First is this retrograde reclaims lost guidance. Yes, a piece of advice, a book, or a warning your father or old mentor gave you years ago that you ignored at that time will suddenly click. You will realize they were right all the time, and so you can go back to apply that wisdom to your current problem. Secondly, this is a beautiful time for reconciliation. Instead of seeking their daily approval, show them that you finally understand their lessons. Reconnecting with an old teacher or admitting to your father that his old school advice makes sense heals the karmic friction and unlocks your ninth house luck. Now, Cancer, this is your ultimate second chance to finish your education. So don't start a brand new major right now. Go back, re-enroll, and finish that degree or thesis or certification you abandoned in the past. If you rush through your foundational classes, those weak spots will show up now. And stop booking new trips or brand new exotic destination right now. This retrograde favors traveling backward. Return to your hometown, a past country of study, or a spiritual pilgrimage you've already visited to unlock stuck blessings. And even if you want to travel, double check all the travel arrangements. Now publishing, teaching, or sharing your knowledge faces a deeper review. All beautiful blessings are coming towards you with this placement. Now let's also talk about Saturn's lordship. How does it impact you? Because Saturn rules your seventh house and eighth house. Seventh house represents our marriage, partnership, or spouse. Now goes in the ninth house, and being a retrograde means your relationship lord is moving backward, forcing you to look at the past mistakes. And you will finally understand why past dynamics failed and how to fix your current commitment. You will realize that past advice from your spouse or an ex partner was actually right. So, applying their past guidance right now will quickly resolve your current friction. An old business partner or client will reach out with a new offer. So, reconnecting with a past alliance brings much better fortune than starting something brand new. And surface level compatibility will not survive in this retrograde. Ex partners, past clients, or old friends may suddenly reappear to settle unresolved emotional or financial matters with you. Now, new marriage timelines may stand still until Saturn finishes his karmic review. And do not rush into signing new business contracts or making impulsive commitments in marriage while your partnership lord is moving backward, sitting in the house of luck. Saturn demands that you audit the integrity of your current alliances. Now, this retrograde is for bringing equal share, like we say, it's fair and square, especially with your spouse and with your business partner, not over giving nor under receiving. So, bringing balance before you move ahead. This is an excellent transit for you. Now, next is Saturn as the eighth lord. Eighth house represents transformation, hidden things, even our in laws. Now, this goes in the ninth house, means hidden fears and old emotional traumas will resurface. Saturn is forcing you to face old pain with newfound maturity, permanently clearing your psychological baggage. Your spouse or business partner stuck money or pending bonuses or delayed raises will suddenly come through, directly boosting your household shared income. Expect delayed inheritance, past tax refunds, or old family property issues to finally clear up. Old tensions with in-laws about religion, values, or dharmic differences return for honest resolution. A spiritual practice, occult interest, or research subject you begun but never completed quietly returns. So Saturn is asking you to finish what you had started. Now, this suddenness or sudden interest or focus in research, occult, financial shifts, all of this is because Rahu is also being transiting in your eighth house currently. Now, hidden truths, family secrets, or unspoken matters from earlier years may surface in these months. Saturn brings what was buried into the light of proper acknowledgement. Now, Cancer, your father is also going through his own internal Saturn test right now. He might face sudden financial reboots or a health wake up call from his past. So be patient with him. He is rewriting his own life foundation over this 4 months. Now let's look at the aspects. Saturn will cast three powerful retrograde aspects from sitting in the ninth house. First is the third aspect, which will fall onto the 11th house, where you can see the Taurus sign. So, a strict disciplinary look over your income, financial gain, elder sibling, your friends, social network. Liquid cash flow may slow down, forcing you to budget wisely. This retro also filters out superficial social circle with ease. Now, the next aspect, the seventh aspect, will fall on the third house, where you can see the Virgo sign. So, your communication, courage, short journeys, and sibling matters will come under scrutiny. So, you may feel less spontaneous, more deliberate in how you write and speak. Saturn is a strict cosmic order to stop procrastinating and refine how you market yourself. Sibling matters, especially with younger ones, may need difficult conversation, but address it with maturity and grace. Now, finally, the 10th aspect will be on the 6th house, where you can see the Sagittarius sign. So, your daily work, health, debts, and service commitments come into the focus. So, Saturn forces routine discipline. Old health issues or chronic pattern may demand a real fix. Workplace politics or hidden positions may resurface. Debts, EMIs, and loans need close attention. So, expect delays, but also expect recalibration. The saving grace is here because Jupiter rules your sixth house while sitting exalted in your first house. So, any hidden opposition or workplace conflict, if dealt with integrity, will systematically dissolve. Daily pressure will also convert into clear victories if you stay ethical, apply effort, and hold the discipline. Now, with all this, let's summarize the takeaways and the tips, some do's and don'ts. Now, Saturn retrograde is asking you to pause and reflect for these 4.5 months. So, please do it, Shane, Shane. First, the do's: honor your routine, maintain a disciplined daily schedule, stop avoiding administrative tasks. Honor your father, guru, or spiritual teacher. Make the call, visit, complete the pilgrimage. The ninth house is alive and rewards dharma in action. Renegotiate relationships boundaries. Clearly state what you need from your partner instead of emotionally withdrawing. Clear emotional and financial debts. Pay off the old loans and process past emotional baggage completely in this retrograde. Honor your mother as well. Your Lagna Lord Moon needs nourishment. Time with her quietly stabilizes you. Double check legal documents. Meticulously review all visa, educational, or contract paperwork before submitting. Serve in silence, offer help or warm food or support to laborers, cleaners, or elderly without seeking validation. Strengthen Saturn through Hanuman Chalisa. Recite the Hanuman Chalisa on Saturdays. Light a mustard or sesame oil lamp facing the west every Saturday evening and quietly chant the mantra Om Sham Shanishcharaya Namaha. And some of the don'ts you need to follow is in this retro phase, listen first. Saturn is testing the relationship. Do not take shortcuts in your dharma, no cutting corners, no great deals, no tax avoidance. Saturn is seeing everything. Do not ignore health warning. The 10th aspect on your 6th house demands real discipline. Avoid new debts or loans. If unavoidable, double check every term and condition. Do not make impulsive foreign decision. No sudden travel, work moves, or study plans abroad without proper scrutiny. Do not people please superficial friends. Walk away from network that drains your peace. And do not skip your spiritual practice as ninth house is involved. Saturn will reward the consistency. Now, Cancer, Jupiter gave you the spotlight this year, sitting exalted right now in your Lagna. Now, Saturn is asking you to make sure that spotlight is built on something deeper than just luck. So, trust the pause. This retro is here to bring the best out of you. And Saturn retrograde feels different for everyone. So, how it lands for you depends on your own chart and the dasha you are running. So, for a personal reading on exactly how this plays off out for you, do reach out to us on the given mobile number or email ID given on the screen. All the best to all the Cancerians.
Hmm. See, for Leo ascendant, Saturn actually is a very complex planet. Why? Because unlike auspicious trine houses, Saturn here rules two very difficult houses: the sixth house, Capricorn, deaths, disease, enemies, daily grind, and the seventh house, Aquarius, marriage, partnership, public relationship. So, as the ruler of these two challenging houses, Saturn acts as a strict disciplinary mirror reflecting your relationships and daily battles. So, see, now Saturn, being the lord of difficult houses, is actually getting retrograde in one of the most difficult house, that is the eighth house, Pisces, the powerhouse of transformation, hidden truth, shared resources. So, it creates a unique double strength effect. A retrograde planet is close to Earth and its energy is deeply internalized. So, in the eighth house, it is mystical, and this transit will demand an intense psychological audit of your deepest fears, financial dependencies, and intimate commitments. Now, we look at the placement, the eighth house. See, eighth house represents the unseen undercurrents of life: taxes, inheritance, your partner's wealth, psychological rebirth. So with Saturn retrograde here, the universe shifts your focus away from external Leo glory and forces you inward to build emotional and financial self resilience. So there'll be internalized audit. You may feel an invisible, heavy pressure regarding joint finances, loans, investments. Because Saturn is retrograde, this anxiety is often self imposed. You are forced to confront financial or emotional vulnerabilities that you have previously swept under the rug. The psychological review, yes, eighth house, emotional baggage or old traumas that you thought were healed may come to surface. Saturn retrograde demands absolute truth. If you have been ignoring toxic relationship or poor financial habits, this period brings them to light for a total restructuring. A shift in interpersonal power, your reliance on others, whether for emotional validation or financial support, will undergo a major change. A temporary drying up of external support will force you to discover your own reservoir of inner strength and resilience. So, now what to expect from this placement? You will likely review joint assets, insurance policies, or debts. The Pisces influence might inspire you to seek unconventional or spiritual way to manage your resources, but Saturn demands strict, grounded realism. There'll be delayed financial resolution. Yes, if you are waiting for an inheritance, a loan approval, or a legal settlement, expect delays. The universe is ensuring that all the terms are completely all right before granting the process, so do not rush with these areas. You can experience heavy emotional load. This is a period of psychological upgrading. You are fixing old emotional patterns rather than starting new relationships, requiring intense patience with yourself. The return of unresolved liabilities. Eighth house matters, yes. Old forgotten financial obligations, unfilled taxes, unresolved dues from the past may suddenly re emerge for immediate clearance. Saturn ensures you cannot move forward until you square off your past ledger. Intimate relationship audits, yes, because seventh lord of marriage is retrograde in the eighth house of deep vulnerability. Expect a profound review of trust. You will find yourself questioning the level of transparency, intimacy, or a mutual support in your closest bonds. Unconventional mystical interest, the combination of Saturn, discipline, and the Pisces spirituality in the eighth house of occult often triggers you to take serious interest in studies like astrology, tarot, deep meditation. You move past casual curiosity into a structured learning. It's very important that you use this time. Physical energy fluctuation, yes, as sixth lord of health sits in the transformative eighth house, you may experience a dip in vitality or resurfacing of chronic minor ailments. This is a physical cue from Saturn demanding that you rest, detoxify, and stop running on empty. Now we'll look at the lordships. Because Saturn carries the energy of conflict, sixth house, and the partnership, that is seventh house, into the house of transformation, the impact is actually dynamic. Seventh lord in eighth, transformed partnership. Your marriage or primary business partnership will go through a redefining fire. In retrograde motion, it suggests that the longevity of your relationship depends on how transparent you are. Superficial connections will strain, while deep, karmically bonded relationships will evolve through shared trials. Sixth lord in eighth. So, this configuration can actually trigger sudden health adjustments or a resurfacing of old debts. However, because it forms a connection between two difficult houses, Dushtana, it can also trigger a Vipreet Raj Yoga over a time. That is, sixth lord into eighth house, meaning that out of challenging situations, you will ultimately gain strength and victory over your adversities. But it is very important that you must pay attention to your health, because sixth lord transiting into eighth house can also give rise to chronic ailments. Now we look at the aspect. Now, sitting in the eighth house, it will cast three powerful aspects. The first aspect will be on your 10th house, the Taurus. Saturn casts a disciplined eye on your career and public standing. This can make you feel temporarily stagnant at work, requiring you to put in double the effort for standard recognition. It demands that you build stability in your professional life through meticulous, slow labor. Do not rush at work. If any work is given to you, do it at your own pace, properly, with full integrity. Now, seventh aspect will be on the second house, Virgo, the house of speech, the house of family. So, Saturn directly faces your house of family, wealth, speech, values. It creates a financial tug of war. You must practice extreme caution with your words, because Saturn here can actually give you a very harsh speech and can actually impact your relationships. So, please avoid that. Also, avoid risky financial expenditure. It is an ideal time to streamline your budget and family responsibilities. Now, last and 10th aspect will fall on the fifth house, the Sagittarius. This is the aspect of duty towards expression. It brings a serious tone to your love life, speculative investments, and relationship with children. It restrains impulsive gambling or romanticizing flings to make room for authentic and long term happiness. It is very important that during this time, avoid taking any risky gambling decisions. Now, if you are a Leo moon, then currently you are actually navigating through Ashtam Shani. So, for individuals who have their moon in Leo, Saturn is transiting through the eighth house, and it triggers the intense phase known as Ashtam Dhaya of Saturn. So, this is traditionally considered a testing period where the mind, that is your moon, feels actually heavy pressure from the house of transition, that is the eighth. You may experience sudden, unexpected shifts in your professional or personal life that disrupts your peace of mind. Mental anxiety, fear of unknown, unprovoked obstacles in daily tasks, or a feeling of isolation are common. So, financial constraints or unexpected expenses regarding health and family can create friction. So, what you can do to navigate through this difficult phase? See, embrace radical acceptance. Understand that Ashtam Shani is not a punishment, but a cosmic course correction. Resist the urge to aggressively force outcome when doors are temporarily closed. Prioritize your mental and physical health. Establish a strict daily routine to ground your mind. Regular exercise, clean eating, routine health checkups are vital to offset the sixth house ruler energy. Avoid new high risk debts. Do not take on massive loans, enter speculative, get rich quick financial schemes during this phase. Focus entirely on liquidating the existing liabilities. Most important, recite Hanuman Chalisa. See, now this is a profound journey for Saturn, highlighting a clear shift in energies. That is, this Ashtam Dhaya would be divided into two phases. From July 27 to October 9th, Saturn retrograde in Revati, nakshatra that is ruled by Mercury. So during this time, Jupiter will cast a ninth aspect onto Saturn. So there will be a lot of saving grace. This divine intervention will soften the blow, turning this period into cushioned audit, and will offer gentle adjustments and introspection. However, from 9th October to 11th December, there will be total shift in the energy, because Saturn moves back into its own nakshatra, that is Uttar Bhadrapada, and Jupiter shifts to Leo. So that protective aspect withdraws. And the Saturn now it's left entirely on its own domain. Saturn transforms into an uncompromising and powerful taskmaster. This marks the time when the real decision lands, where your foundation will be rigorously tested and the results of your efforts are made absolutely clear. Now, few do's, don'ts, and practical tips and remedies for Leo ascendant as well as Leo moon. See, most important is that practice Mon to ground the dynamic, expressive Leo energy and Saturn's aspect on your second house of speech. Practice pausing before you speak, especially when you are provoked. Organize financial records. Sit down and thoroughly audit your bank accounts, taxes, insurance, and wills. Decluttering your financial life directly relieves the psychological pressure of the eighth house. Honor the working class. Saturn represents the blue collar workhouse. Regularly helping, tipping generosity, or providing food to construction workers, sanitation staff, or elderly directly softens Saturn's strict lesson. Now, chant the Mahamrityunjay mantra or Hanuman Chalisa, the best remedy to mitigate the eighth house effect, mitigate the effect of Ashtam Dhaya, mitigate the effect of Moon, Saturn transiting eighth from Moon, sixth house transiting in eighth house being retro, one stop solution for all the challenges which this retrograde Saturn will bring for Leo ascendant. And see, most important is that since seventh lord is getting retrograde in the eighth house, and Rahu is also transiting in your seventh house. So during this window of 4.5 months, avoid getting into partnership. Why? Because seventh lord is getting retro into eighth house. You can even avoid marriage alliance because currently Rahu is transiting into your seventh house, and seventh lord is getting retrograde into the eighth house. So if you can avoid, or even if you want to get into partnership or marriage alliance, be very, very cautious. Do not get into any litigation or sign any legal documents. Why? Because sixth lord is getting retro into eighth house. It can give you a lot of challenges. So be very, very careful in all these aspects. See, let this period of inward retrograde motion be the time you quietly master the shadows and fortify your finances. When Saturn eventually move forward, you will emerge from the deep waters of Pisces, not broken, but completely transformed into an unshakable and self-authorized leader. So, Leo rising, out of all the ascendants, you particularly need to be very, very cautious during this 4.5 months period, because sixth house, seventh lord, seventh house, eighth house, all these three energies are getting aggravated. See, Saturn retrograde feels different for everyone. However, it how it lands in your horoscope depends on your chart and current dasha you are running. For a personalized reading on exactly how this plays out to you, do reach out to us on the mobile number or email ID given on the screen. Thank you and all the best to all the Leo risings.
Welcome to all the Virgo rising. Virgo Saturn retrograde is here from 27th of July till December 11, 2026. And this transits in 7th house is putting your most important relationship, your marriage, your business, and your partnership directly into the spotlight. Here is why this matters specifically for you. Moving backward through Pisces, Saturn looks straight at you from the opposite house. That is, from the seventh house, Saturn casts its full seventh aspect directly onto you, your Lagna, your first house, which means Saturn is also reviewing you from across the chart. This makes the transit one of the most self revealing and more personal for you. Now, the classic like Faldipika and BPHS tells us that a retrograde planet gains massive chase double. Its karmic lessons becomes highly concentrated for 4.5 months now. So one saving grace is that exalted Jupiter is sitting in the 11th house and it's casting its ninth Amrit Drishti aspect on Saturn. He turns external delays and partnership reviews into self-awakening blessing, at least until October while he's still in Cancer. Now, let us also talk about the two phases of this retrograde and why they bring the different flavors. Now, Saturn changes nakshatra during these 4.5 months. So, take a note, Virgo. This retrograde will unfold into two halves. The first one is from the July 27 to October 9th. Saturn is retrograde in Revati nakshatra. Jupiter is still aspecting at the same time from the 11th house. So, the review feels cushioned. Revati is ruled by Mercury and it forces you to analyze your partnership, contracts, communication, and emotional commitments. External progress will slow down, but internally, Saturn brings real clarity, showing you where your partnerships are misaligned or one sided. Use this first half to gain clarity. From the 9th October to December 11th, Saturn moves back into its own nakshatra, Uttara Bhadrapada, and Jupiter shifts out of Cancer and moves into Leo. Now, the cushion is withdrawn. The phase is heavier and more stable and more focused on building long term partnership structure. This is where the real tangible decisions about your relationship takes shape. So expect commitments to deepen or quietly close in this phase. Now, a quick note on Sadesati. Virgos, if your moon is in Pisces, Aries, or Aquarius, this retrograde lands differently on you. Watch the section for your moon sign as well, because your mind and emotions are also under Saturn's review right now. And even if your moon is not in any of these signs, we still recommend you to watch this from the moon sign as well to give you the complete picture on how this transit lands on you. Now, let's begin and see from the placement perspective. Now, Saturn, when retrogrades in your seventh house, your most important relationship and your sense of who you are is in partnership comes under serious review. Saturn retrograde does not deny you these seventh house themes permanently, it merely restricts or delays them to ensure the partnership is truly built to last. Direct Saturn will say build forward slowly and seriously, but retrograde Saturn says go back, finish what you left, and then you move forward with clarity. So, in seventh house of marriage and partnership, this is like, for example, from over functioning in your relationship, feeling alone in your responsibility, and never being fully seen for who you are, to building mature, equal partnership where the load is equally shared, your worth is fully recognized, and joy returns without dependency. So let us see what all can happen on a daily basis. For example, past conflict, old arguments, or emotional distance in your marriage may resurface. Old ex partner, ex business associate may also return. Fix the leaks in your commitments with integrity and grace. There is a mirror effect that will kick in. That is, Saturn looks directly from the seventh house to the first house, so from the partner's house to your lagna. So any friction you feel right now highlights your own insecurity, so stop blaming them and take ownership of your own growth. Now Jupiter from 11th house softens this retrograde friction in relationship, turns into mature conversation rather than breakups. So if you choose growth over blame. Now, business partnership and long term contract face strict review or operational slowdown. Old deals resurface and renegotiations can happen. The stalled legal matters can reappear for adjustment. Public dealings and legal paperwork also demands careful review. So, read every contract twice before signing. The seventh house also represents your second child. An old behavior pattern, school issues, or communication gap may resurface. This is your window to fix that bond. Now, your public image and dealing with the marketplace requires you to redo past client strategies. You will feel a strong urge to pull away from draining or codependent one on one connection. I think, Virgo, this is a very beautiful transit for you, especially people who are married, to straighten things up in in your married life. Now let's go ahead and talk about the lordship and how does it impact you. Now Saturn rules your fifth and sixth house. So fifth house represents romance, children, creativity, intelligence. And the fifth lord now goes retrograde into the seventh house. What it means: your past romantic pattern returns for a review. Old relationship you thought were closed may want a final conversation. The fifth and seventh connection forms a love to marriage karmic test. So Saturn asks if your current bond is built on genuine love or just the routine. Now, romantic dynamics or relationship with your children might require an extra dose of patience and behavioral adjustment. As your fifth lord of intellect moves backward, your creativity or creative ventures or speculation plans will pause for restructuring. Fifth house also represents children, so pregnancy and childbirth as a fifth lord in retrograde in the house of marriage. Now, the creative energy requires for a smooth conception, which is temporarily slowed down or paused. And Let's look at the sixth house and sixth lordship. Now, sixth house represents health, deaths, obstacles, uh, daily routine, and it goes into the seventh house being retro. What it means is past disputes, legal matters, or unresolved arguments with partner may resurface for clear up or for a cleanup. And any underlying health issue or physical fatigue related to stress might suddenly flare up to demand your attention. Now, this suddenness is also because Rahu is currently transiting from your sixth house. Now, pet health cannot be postponed now. Insurance claims and documents may need rechecking. So, keep a watch on your pet's health as well. Now, health issues of your spouse or business partner may also demand your involvement, and old pattern may return. Joint debts, shared EMIs, or financial obligation with partner can go under strict review. Hidden tensions or quiet enemies within your network slowly become visible, so Saturn asks you to address them. And if you have been serving without recognition or cutting corners in service, Saturn brings the imbalance to light. Ask for what is fair, and past service karma is also under the review. Now, let's talk about the three aspects. The first aspect is on the ninth house, where you see the Taurus sign. Your father, your guru, your dharma, and your higher learnings come under quite karmic review now. But because Saturn is retrograde, old unresolved issues with your father, an old guru relationship left unfinished, or a foreign opportunity you let go of years ago may quietly resurface for completion. Higher studies you began but never finished, or travel plans that were postponed long ago may now want a closure. Saturn is asking you to revisit and complete the past before you move forward. Next is the seventh aspect will fall onto the first house for you, Virgo. Now, this is Saturn looking directly at you from across the chart from the seventh house. Your body, your personality, your identity come under a quite karmic spotlight. But because Saturn is retrograde, every version of yourself you outgrew but never properly released now will resurface. Old self doubt return, dry skin or body fatigue you thought was gone may come back, and heaviness will settle in. So, step back, reflect, refresh. You stop trying to please an old version of yourself, and that itself becomes your new authority. Powerful time for you to evaluate your life goals and your personal boundaries, Virgo. A very fantastic time to review yourself. And finally, the 10th aspect of Saturn will fall onto the fourth house, where you can see the Sagittarius sign. Fourth house, your home, your mother, your peace, and your emotional foundation comes into the focus now. Because Saturn is retrograde, old domestic patterns return for honest restructuring. Childhood home dynamics, unresolved conversation with your mother, or property matters left incomplete years ago demand a quiet closure. A vehicle pending repairs or a property dispute or an emotional pattern from your past may want a resolution before December. Watch your mother's health as well, as old issue about her health may also resurface. Now let's summarize for you, Virgo, some of the takeaways and do's and don'ts, and one or two remedies I want to share. First is channel your perfectionism wisely because Saturn rules structure and boundaries. Use your Virgo eye for detail to review your contracts, partnership, and commitments, and not to criticize your partner. Maintain absolute transparency and honor your deadlines with your business and personal partner. Take care of your lower back, kidney, digestion, and skin. Certain pressures on the seventh can manifest here. So, eat regular, simple meals. Honor your service karma, where you have served without recognition. Ask for what is fair. Saturn rewards the balance. Now, strengthen Saturn through Hanuman. Recite Hanuman Chalisa every Saturday. Light a mustard or sesame oil lamp facing west every Saturday evening and quietly chant the mantra Om Sham Shanishcharai Namaha. And some of the don'ts for you Virgos is do not file legal cases or sign critical contracts in haste. Do not ignore health warning for you, your spouse, your business partner, or even for your pets. Do not force major property discussion or decision to take on a new joint debt during this period. Avoid if it is possible. Do not start a new business partnership impulsively. Wait for clarity after October or revisit and reread every document twice. And do not skip your daily routine or spiritual practices. Saturn rewards the consistency. Now, Virgo, Jupiter gave you the gains and recognition this year. sitting beautifully in your 11th house. Saturn is now asking you to make sure that whatever you build is shared with the right partner. Trust the pause. This retro is here to bring genuine alignment or realignment to your most important relationship, that is also with you. Now, Saturn retrograde feels different for everyone. How it lands for you depends on your own chart and dasha you're running, your planetary placement. So, for a personal reading on exactly how this plays out for you, do reach out to us on the mobile number and the email ID given on the screen. All the best to all the Virgo ascendant.
For Libra ascendant, Saturn is not just another planet, it's your yoke karka. This means Saturn single handedly carries the mandate to bring luck, stability, and high achievements in your life. It rules the two most important houses, the Kendra and the Trikona. Fourth house, Capricorn, home, mother, inner peace, property, and your fifth house, Aquarius, intelligent, creativity, romance, children, speculation. So, as the Lord of Kendra and Trikona, Saturn is deeply involved as an ultimate foundational pillar for your entire life. So, now what happens when Saturn turns retrograde into the sixth house, that is the Pisces, the house of daily grinds, obstacles, debts, health, conflicts? It basically creates a highly unique double strength effect. A retrograde planet is closer to Earth and its energy turns intensely inward. So basically, there'll be an internal reassessment of your boundaries, your physical well being, and how well you manage the friction of daily life. Now we look at the impact of the placement. Sixth house represents your battleground. It is where you deal with messy, unglamorous realities of life like workplace politics, health issue, daily chores. Now, with your Yokarka planet getting retrograde here, the universe isn't trying to punish you. It is asking you to completely re engineer how you fight your battles. You may feel an immense invisible pressure to fix everything and everyone around you because Saturn is retrograde. This manifests as a self imposed stress. You might feel personally responsible for resolving conflicts at work or fixing logistical messes that aren't even yours. Sixth house directly rules your physical immunity and illness. Saturn retrograde acts as a strict doctor. If you have been neglecting your body, pushing through burnout, or ignoring poor dietary habits, this transit brings those issues to the surface and will actually force you to take action on your lifestyle to change it permanently. There'll be shift in boundaries. See, as a Libra ascendant, your natural instinct is to keep the peace and please others. Saturn in sixth house will force you to find authority within yourself. It will strip away your ability to say yes to toxic demands, teaching you that setting strict boundaries is a moral necessity, not an act of selfishness. Now, what major things you can expect during this 4.5 period? See, expect old, unresolved projects, administrative backlogs to land back on your desk. Saturn retrograde demands perfection in your daily execution. Shortcuts taken months ago will reappear for rigorous correction. It's better you do the correction now. There could be delayed resolution of disputes. If you are already involved in legal battles, property disputes, or arguments over contracts, the outcome may seem temporarily stalled. Saturn is ensuring that all the documentation is completely all right before giving you the Yokarka win. There could be resurfacing of old debts, financial liabilities, or long forgotten loans may demand your attention. This period requires meticulous budgeting to systematically clear your financial state. There could be change in daily routine. The dreamy Pisces influence combined with Saturn discipline in your sixth house will push you to abandon the chaotic schedule in case you were following any. You will feel a sudden urge to structure your morning, incorporate yoga, meditation, and bring spiritual discipline to your overall life. You could feel friction with your subordinates. You might experience a temporary withdrawal of corporation cooperation from domestic help, contractors, or junior colleagues. This forces you to pull up your sleeves and master the ground level work yourself. You could even experience deep psychological detox. The sixth house is the house of Shatru, enemies. But in Pisces, those enemies are often internal, basically anxiety, self doubt, escape tendencies. Saturn retrograde acts as a spiritual auditor, forcing you to confront and dismantle those mental roadblocks. There could be reconnection with the health mentors. You are likely to seek out an old nutritionist or a trusted family doctor or maybe a fitness mentor to help you reconstruct your life and physical activity. You could indulge into service driven opportunities. Your career focus may temporarily shift towards helping others overcome crises. You may find profound fulfillment in fixing structural problems or dealing with corporate compliance or engaging in charitable work. But it'll be good for you. Now we look at the lordships. See, because Saturn carries the energy of your happiness, that is fourth house. Now, see, fourth lord in sixth house. It means your peace of mind, home life are directly tied to how well you manage your daily routines. You might have to deal with structural repairs in your home or attend to your mother's help. While it sounds heavy, Saturn as a yoke karka ensures that fixing these issues now protects your domestic foundation for the next 30 years. Fifth lord getting retro in the sixth house. Your creative intelligence and analytical mind becomes your greatest asset to overcome obstacles. While speculative investments or romantic relationship might feel dry or restricted right now, your ability to study, learn complex skills, solve problems is vastly magnified. Since fifth lord is retro in sixth, pay close attention to well-being and education of your children. Challenges at work or with daily routines might also reappear, requiring patience and strategic thinking. To navigate this period more smoothly, it is advisable to avoid taking on new debts, make cautious financial choices, and maintain harmonious relationship with your co-workers, with your children, as well as your mother, because this period might feel very heavy on you, since Saturn brings restrictions to wherever it sits. Now we look at the aspects, the cosmic rebalancing. The third aspect, that is the first aspect, falls on your eighth house, Taurus. It casts a cautious eye on joint finances, secrecy, and unexpected transformation. This will encourage you to be highly conservative with shared resources and insurance policies. It requires strict documentation in legal and financial matters. Do not ignore these things. Second, that is the seventh aspect, falls on your 12th house, Virgo. Saturn directly faces your house of isolation, foreign lands, and expenditure. This aspect acts as a financial brake, forcing you to curb impulsive spending. It can also cause sleep disturbances if you don't discipline your mind, urging you to trade escapism for a structured rest. However, it can also bring foreign opportunities, foreign clients in case you are already dealing with foreign businesses. 10th aspect will fall on the third house, that is the Sagittarius. This is the aspect of duty through action. It brings a serious tone to your communication, self effort, and relationships with your younger siblings. You could even experience short travels to pilgrimage. This aspect basically demands that you communicate with absolute clarity and put concrete, disciplined effort in your daily life. Now, see, this Saturn's journey of 4.5 months is clearly divided into two energetic forces. From July 27th to October 9th, Saturn retrogrades in Revati, a nakshatra ruled by Mercury. So, during this time, Jupiter casts his ninth aspect on Saturn, which will act as a saving grace. So, this divine intervention will soften the blow. It'll be like a cushion audit, offering you gentle adjustments and introspection. However, a major shift will occur post 9th October, basically between 9th October to 11th December, when Saturn moves back to its own nakshatra, Uttra Bhadrapada, and Jupiter will shift to Leo. So that protective aspect of Jupiter withdraws. Saturn is on its own in its own domain. So Saturn transforms into an uncompromising and powerful taskmaster. This marks the time when the real decision lands, where your foundations are rigorously tested and the results of your efforts are made clear. Now, few practical tips and remedies for a Libra ascendant. See, Saturn being your yoke karka planet, it is very important that you adopt a Saturday routine seva, especially since it is transiting in sixth house. Sixth house thrives on service, spending time on Saturdays, helping those less fortunate, cleaning your environment, feeding stray animals, or helping underprivileged workers directly softens the Saturn's disciplinary energy. Meticulously organizing your ledger. Yes. Bring order to the sixth house by tracking every single penny of debt, expenses, and income. Eliminating financial ambiguity immediately relieves the mental weight of this transit in sixth house. Very important, respect your body's clock. Establish unshakable sleeping and eating routines because Pisces represent the feet and fluid system. Incorporating grounding exercise and proper hydration is a direct physical remedy for Saturn in sixth house. Practice karma yoga at workplace. If tasks are returned to you for revision or workplace politics heat up, do not react emotionally. Approach your work with a detached dedication. Saturn rewards flawless execution over emotional drama. During this period, it is very important that you do not ignore the health of your children and mother because fourth and fifth lord is transiting into the sixth house, that is the house of health, disease. Any minor ailment, please do not miss out on doctor's appointment. So, for takeaway for Libra ascendant would be this retrograde period in the sixth house is a masterclass in cosmic resilience. Do not fear the daily grind. Let this reverse motion be the time you systematically eliminate your debts, fortify your health, and sharpen your skills. When Saturn moves forwards, you will step out of arena completely bulletproof. So now, see, Saturn retrograde feels different for everyone. How it lands for you depends on your own chart and the current dasha you are running. So, for a personal reading on exact how this transit plays out for you, do reach out to us on mobile number or email ID given on the screen. Thank you so much and all the best to all the Libra risings.
Welcome to all the Scorpio rising. Scorpio Saturn retrograde is here from July 27 to December 11, 2026, 4.5 months. And this transit is going deep into the most personal parts of your life. Saturn is going retrograde in your fifth house. The classic like Phal Dipika and Brihat Parashari Hora Shastra tells us that a retrograde planet gains massive emotional strength. That is the Cheshta Bal. Its karmic lessons become highly concentrated for all these 4.5 months, starting with July. Moving backward in the sign of Pisces, which is your fifth house, Saturn forces you to pause, re examine the depth of your creativity, romantic life. Saturn is at its most powerful right now, sitting in the trikona of intelligence and inner light, reviewing the most heart centered areas of your life. Now, one beautiful saving grace is that Jupiter, your fifth lord, is exalted in the ninth house and aspecting his own fifth house where Saturn is sitting. So, Jupiter is blessing the very Saturn that is reviewing it. At least until October, while Jupiter is still in Cancer. Now, let us talk about the two phases of this retrograde and why they bring different flavors. Now, pay attention here, Scorpio. Saturn will change nakshatra during this 4.5 months. So, the retrograde unfolds in two halves or two phases. First phase is from July 27 to October 9th, when Saturn is retrograde in Revati nakshatra. But Jupiter is still aspecting from your ninth house. So, the review feels cushioned by your own dharma. Now, Revati is ruled by Mercury and it forces you to analyze your love life, your creative work, your children, your speculation, your intelligence, and all the hidden emotional pattern you carry. External progress will slow down, but internally, Saturn brings real clarity, showing you where your creativity is just performance and where your love is conditional and which passion you have outgrown without realizing. Use this first half to reflect and get the clarity. Now, the second half is from October 9 to December 11th. Saturn moves back into his own nakshatra, that is Uttara Bhadrapada, and Jupiter shifts out of from Cancer and moves into Leo. Now the cushion withdraws. The phase is heavier, more stable, and more focused on building long-term creative structure. This is where the real tangible decisions about your love life, your children, your creativity, your intellect, everything shapes up. So expect commitments to deepen or quietly close. Now, before we begin with your placement benefit, there's a quick note for on Sadesati. Now, Scorpio, if your moon is in Pisces, Aries, or Aquarius, this retrograde lands differently on you. Watch the section of your moon sign as well, because your mind and emotions are also under Saturn's review right now. Even if your moon is not in any of these signs, we still recommend you to watch this from your moon sign as well to give the complete picture of how this transit lands on you. Now, let us see what this means for you in your daily lives from the placement point of view. Saturn is currently in your fifth house. The fifth house is our Buddhi Sthana, the house of children, romance, creativity, intelligence, and spiritual practice. Now, it is one of the most fortunate houses in your chart, as your fourth lord is in the fifth. Saturn is forming a quiet Kendra Trikona Rajyo, which means even during retrograde, the real long term gains are quietly forming. Now, Saturn retrograde does not deny any of the themes of fifth house. It merely delays them to ensure the depth is real. And also remember, Scorpio, direct Saturn says build forward slowly and seriously, and retrograde Saturn says go back, finish what you left, and then you can create something new with clarity. For example, from hiding your creative gifts, holding back love because of the past wounds, and feeling unseen in the deepest passions, to standing in your full creative authority and loving your strength rather than your needs. This is how this transit is going to transform beautifully for you. So, if a creative project, a book, art, a film, or a song that has been sitting half done, Saturn will reopen this file. Don't expect a launch yet. Finish behind the scene now, and the release comes in December or just after that. Now, speculation becomes a sharp warning for Scorpio. No stock, no crypto, no risky bets. Saturn is not Saturn is not punishing with the scarcity. He is protecting you from a loss you would not have seen coming. Also, Saturn believes in long term investment. So, if you want to invest, look for traditional long term investments. Now, next is you will pause to ask, am I really showing up for a learned skill, my children, my partner, or just going through the motions? Old patterns of control or quiet distance will surface for an honest review. Now, a mirror effect of love also kicks in. So, any friction with your partner or your children is highlighting your own insecurities. So, stop blaming and take ownership of your own growth. Now, Jupiter, your fifth lord, aspects Saturn from the ninth. So, creative blocks or romantic friction will not lead to a breakup but to deeply mature transformation. Jupiter is acting as a wise counselor and helping you grow rather than weaponize the past, at least until October. Now, expect a reality check around your past romances. An ex partner or a love story you thought were closed may reappear. Not to restart, but to be properly ended. Saturn allows no loose ends in matter of the heart. Now, the fifth house is the house of children. So, if you're planning a family, expect a slower timeline. Saturn wants you to mature into parenthood and not rush into it. An old spiritual practice, a mantra you abandoned, or a teacher you walked away from, may quietly written. The fifth house is the mantra sadhana, and Saturn rewards your return to discipline more than your old intensity. Now, your existing child, especially your first child, school's performance, behavior pattern, or communication gap may resurface. Now, this is your cosmic window to fix that bond properly. Let's look at the Saturn's lordship now. Remember where Saturn goes retro. The affairs of that house's rules feel temporary, unanchored, or paused. And now Saturn is ruling your third house and fourth house. Third house represents our communication, courage, skills, siblings. So when third house lord goes retro in the fifth house, your courage to express love and creativity is now a mirror. The more authentic you become, the more gifts open up. Old skills, hobbies, or creative pursuits you walked away from years ago will quietly resurface. Saturn is asking you to finish and not start something new. Now, sibling matters intersect with your house of intelligence. So, an old conversation with a sibling may now be unavoidable. Short journeys for creative work, your children, or your romance may face delays. So, use this pause to plan and not to push. Your communication in love and parenting becomes slower, I would say more deliberate. The words you choose now will be remembered for years, so be watchful. Now, Saturn also rules your fourth house. Now, fourth house represents home, mother, or peace, comfort. Now, fourth house Lord goes retro in the fifth house means old conversation with your mother about your romantic life, your romantic choices, your children, your creative path may finally need real closure. Saturn brings the unfinished family chapter back to the table. Home where you grew up and the home you want to build now quietly collide. So reconcile them because creativity cannot bloom in unresolved domestic tension. A property, vehicle, or a creative space at home may face delay. Patiently handle, and this will be rewarded later. Or a sudden change of home, real estate, or internal emotional restructuring can also happen due to Rahu being present in your fourth house right now. Now, a childhood emotional pattern you carried into adulthood may finally surface in how you love today. So Saturn wants you to retire it for good. And Scorpio, your mother is going through her own Saturn test right now. She may face sudden domestic shifts, emotional pressure, or a health wake up call. Be patient with her. She is restructuring her own foundation over these 4.5 months. Now, let us talk about the aspects. Saturn has three powerful aspects. The third aspect will be on the seventh house, where the sign of Taurus is written. Now, Saturn is looking at your marriage and your most important partnerships. So, this retrograde forces a real review on of how you show up in your closest bonds. It is a time to look honestly at what you bring and what you take. So, stop hiding behind your Scorpio mystery and let your partner actually see you. Old partnership issues that you both quietly swept aside will return for honest resolution. Business partnership and long term contracts face strict review or operational slowdown. Old deals can resurface for renegotiation, and stalled legal matters reappear for adjustment. Saturn's seventh aspect will be on your 11th house, where you can see the sign of Virgo. Now, your gains, your income, your social network comes under quite karmic review. So, income tied to your creative work or to speculation will slow down. Saturn wants you to align your earning with your true purpose and not just your efforts. Friends from the past may reappear. Hidden motives in your current network will quietly come to the light, and a superficial connection will naturally fade. And long term wish, something you stopped believing in years ago, may suddenly look possible again. And finally, the 10th aspect will be on your second house, where you can see the sign of Sagittarius. Now, your wealth, your family, your speech, and your eating habits come into focus. Saturn forces real discipline here. Spending feels tight, but saving discipline genuinely improves. So, watch your words very carefully. Saturn punishes careless speech in the family heavily. The words you say in anger now will be remembered for years. Old eating habits, sugar dependence, or weight you have been carrying may quietly return for cleanup or restructuring. Now, this is a good one for you, Scorpio. Now, let us summarize the takeaways and tips and some do's and don'ts. Now, Saturn retrograde is asking you to pause and reflect. So, let's see what are the do's. Honor your creative depth. Finish the painting, the book, the project. Saturn rewards completion. Audit your romance pattern where you are controlling, where you are withholding. Saturn forces real intimacy. Spend real time with your children. Saturn's fifth house pressure wants you to be present and not just be providing. Honor your mother. A visit, a call, an old conversation closed will free up your creative energy. Reconnect with your spiritual practices. The fifth house is a mantra sthana, and Saturn rewards consistency far more than intensity. Do help those who serve you. Tip extra generously this season. Saturn represents the working class. Always remember that. Walk barefoot on earth. Fix a sleep routine and track daily spending. Saturn loves discipline and structure. And strengthen your Saturn through Hanumanji. Recite Hanuman Chalisa on Saturdays or light a mustard or sesame oil lamp facing west every Saturday evening and chant Om Sham Shanishcharaya Namaha. Few of the don'ts for your Scorpio: do not gamble, speculate, or take risky bets. Saturn's fifth house warning is real and sharp. Don't waste time on screen scrolling, especially late at night. Do not push your children or your students. Saturn reads control as obsession and brings it back to you. Do not let possessiveness disguise itself as love. Saturn sees the difference very clearly. Avoid major decisions about children, conception, or romance impulsively. Wait for clarity at least after October. Also, don't lend money in this period. Don't brag about your plans and don't procrastinate on tedious or a boring job. And do not speak in haste, especially within the family. Saturn's 10th aspect on your second house punishes sharp words heavily. And do not chase intensity over depth. Real love does not need any drama. So Scorpio, Jupiter gave you the blessings of Dharma and higher purpose this year on 2nd of June, sitting beautifully in your ninth house. Now Saturn is asking you to make sure your creativity, your love, your spiritual life are all built on the same dharmic foundation. So trust this pause. This retro is here to bring real authenticity to your deepest passion. And Saturn retrograde feels different for everyone. How it lands for you depends on your own chart and the planetary dasha that you are running. So for a personal reading on exactly how this plays out for you, do reach out to us on the number or email ID shown on the screen. All the best to all the Scorpio rising.
See, for Sagittarius ascendant, Saturn rules your second house, Capricorn, wealth, family, assets, and your third house, that is Aquarius. Self effort, courage, communication, siblings, neighborhood, because it commands your financial foundations and your capacity to take actions. Saturn's moments dictate how you secure your life during this retro period of 4.5 months. Now, when Saturn turns retro into your fourth house, that is Pisces, the house of home, mother, emotional peace, fixed assets, and vehicles, it brings in intensely heavy internal focus to your very core. Fifth house is your private place. It is the fluid, boundless sign of Pisces. A retrograde Saturn forces a profound internal audit of your domestic life, your childhood conditioning, and what truly makes you feel secure and feel at home. We look at the placement. Fourth house is your psychological underworld and your domestic roots. With the Lord of Wealth, that is, with the Lord of Wealth and efforts retrograde here, the universe is pulling your energy away from external expansion and demanding that you fortify your inner roots. You will feel that you are a domestic problem solver. You will feel immense invisible pressure to fix family dynamics or take on emotional burdens of the household. Saturn retrograde, you might feel personally responsible for structural issues in the home or unresolved family friction that has been brewing for years. Emotional health audit. The fourth house rules the heart, chest, and your baseline emotional peace. Saturn retrograde here acts as a strict psychological auditor. If you have been running away from deep seated insecurities or using toxic positivity to mask emotional burnout, this transit forces those feelings to the surface for a permanent close correction. A shift in domestic boundaries. As a Sagittarius ascendant, you love your freedom but often overextend your resources for the family. Saturn retrograde strips away your ability to tolerate domestic chaos. It teaches you that setting strict boundaries within your own home and family is a moral necessity, else, you will actually burn out. Now, what major things to expect during this 4.5 months period? Home and property reestablishment. Expect old, unresolved property dispute, pending home renovations, or structural blockages like plumbing or foundational leak to demand your immediate attention. Shortcuts taken in home maintenance months ago will reappear for a rigorous correction. Delay in property matters. If you are trying to buy real estate, move houses, or settle domestic litigations, the outcome may seem temporarily stalled. Saturn here is ensuring all paperwork and emotional readiness are completely all right before granting the stability you seek. However, if you are planning to buy any heritage property, this could be the best window. Why? Because currently your fourth house is under the double transit of both Saturn and Jupiter. So yes, this could be a window for that. Reassessing family assets, financial liabilities linked to family, or long forgotten family financial obligations may surface. Second Lord getting retro into the fourth. This period requires a meticulous review of joint family wealth and assets. A change in private routines, Pisces influence combined with Saturn discipline will push you to abandon chaotic home life schedule. You will feel a sudden urge to structure your private hours, introduce grounding practices like meditation at home, and bring spiritual discipline to your personal space. Friction with maternal figures, you might experience a temporary emotional distance or caregiving friction involved with your mother or elder maternal figures. This basically forces you to handle these relationships with lot of maturity rather than getting emotionally outburst. See, Saturn has the tendency to create boundaries wherever it sits, but you need to understand that this is just a temporary phase and you have to sail through it. Now we'll come at the lordships. Saturn carries the energy of your wealth, that is second house, and your willpower, third house, into your house of inner peace, creating a highly protective and foundational dynamics. So when second lord is getting retro into the fourth house, your liquid wealth and family values are directly tied up to your fixed assets and domestic security. Spending money to repair your home or care for your family's foundation right now protects your material security for the next 30 years. Third Lord in fourth house. Your courage and self efforts must be directed inwards. Instead of chasing external battles, your ability to communicate clearly, learn domestic skills, or resolve internal conflicts is vastly magnified. It could even mean that there could be some sort of expenditure on your siblings. See, Sagittarius rising having Saturn, the lord of second and the third house in the fourth house, basically indicates a period of introspection regarding your home, family, and property matters. You might experience delay or reevaluation in buying or renovating property, or finding yourself addressing repairs and maintenance around the house. Financial decisions relating to your savings or expanding your family resources could also require careful thought and patience. It's good time to focus on maintaining harmony within the family and ensuring your mother's health and well-being are taken care of. During this phase, you should try to avoid making impulsive property purchases, signing any major agreements without careful review, third lord getting retro in the fourth, or letting stress affect your peace of mind with the family members. Now we'll come at the aspects. Sitting in the fourth house, Saturn will cast its three aspect. First aspect, that is the third aspect, will be on the sign of Taurus, the sixth house. It will be an eye on your debts, daily grinds, and enemies. This aspect demands absolute discipline in managing daily health routines and ensuring you handle workplace friction with complete honesty. Second aspect, that is the seventh aspect, will be on the 10th house, Virgo, directly facing your house of career and public status. This aspect acts as a professional break. It forces you to balance your public ambitions with your private responsibilities, reminding you that you cannot succeed outside if your home base is crumbling. 10th aspect falls on you. That is the first house, Sagittarius. This is the aspect of duty for yourself. It brings a deeply serious, mature tone to your entire personality, demanding absolute accountability, self discipline, physical endurance. And yes, since Saturn is aspecting your first house, you could even experience weight loss during this 4.5 months period. Watch out that. See, this Saturn transit into fourth house is clearly divided into two aspects. That is, there is a nakshatra change. From July 27 to October 9th, Saturn retrogrades in Revati, a nakshatra ruled by Mercury. During this time, Jupiter's ninth aspect is also falling on the Saturn, which will act as a saving grace. This divine intervention will soften the blow, turning this period into a cushioned domestic audit. It offers gentle emotional adjustment, deep introspection, and will be helpful in flushing out wisdoms to heal family structures. Now, after October, that is from 9th October to 11th December, the crucial shift occurs. Saturn retrograde back into its own nakshatra, Uttar Bhadrapada, and the protective layer of Jupiter shifts away because Jupiter will then enter into Leo. So Saturn is left entirely on its own in its own domain. Saturn transforms into an uncompromising and powerful taskmaster. This marks the time when the real domestic and property decisions land, where your inner foundations are rigorously tested and the results of your emotional discipline are made clear. Practical tips, warnings, and remedies for Sagittarius ascendant. Practice silent seva at home. The fourth house thrives on building a peaceful foundation. Dedicate time on Saturdays to selflessly serve your parents, family, elders, or take on home maintenance without complaining. Warning against impulsive escapism. Because fourth house is in the watery Pisces, you will face a strong urge to emotionally shut down, mentally check out, or run away from domestic stress. Do not do it. Do not isolate yourself in toxic passivity. Face the domestic frictions directly. Meticulously organize real estate property documentations, very important. Bring absolute order to your space. Clear out physical clutter from your home. Pay off any pending house taxes or bills and audit your property titles. Eliminating physical and logistical ambiguity directly stabilizes your mental peace. Establish a grounded private routine. Respect your emotional and physical heart. Create unshakable boundary around your sleep and meditation hours. Incorporate grounding silent routines in your living space to counter the chaotic fluid waves of Pisces. So, the final takeaway for Sagittarius ascendant would be this retrograde period in the fourth house is a masterclass in emotional resilience and foundational strength. Do not fear the domestic pressure or the internal friction. Let this reverse motion be the time you systematically heal your roots, fortify your home, and discipline your mind. When Saturn moves forward, you will step out completely bulletproof with an unshakable inner empire. See, Saturn retrograde feels different for everyone. Now, how it lands on you will entirely depend on your chart, the current dasha you are running. So for a personal reading to know exactly how it plays out to you, do reach out to us on mobile number or email ID given on the screen. So, all the best to all the Sagittarius rising.
Welcome to all the Capricorn rising. Capricorn Saturn retrograde is here from 27th of July till December 11th, 2026. And for you, this is the most personal retrograde of all the 12 ascendants. Why? Because Saturn is your Lagna Lord. The transit is asking you to slow down, look at yourself honestly, and rebuild who you are. Now, the classics like Faldipika and Brihat Parashari Hora Shastra tells us that a retrograde planet gains massive emotional strength, the Cheshta Bal. Its karmic lessons become highly concentrated for 4.5 months, starting in July. Now, moving backward in the sign of Pisces, Saturn forces you to pause and re examine your own daily life from the inside. Saturn is at the most powerful right now, and he's reviewing the very planet that defines you. Now, let us talk about the two phases of this retrograde and why they bring different flavors in this 4.5 months. Now, pay attention, Capricorn, because this retrograde will have two phases. First, from July 27 to October 9th, Saturn is retrograde in Revati Nakshatra, but Jupiter is still aspecting him from the seventh house. So, the review feels cushioned by your own partnership lord. Now, Revati is ruled by Mercury, and it forces you to analyze your daily efforts, your communications, your skills, and your sibling matters. Externally, progress will slow down, but internally, Saturn brings real clarity, showing you where your daily hustle is purposeful and where it is just a noise. Use the first half to reflect and get the clarity. Now, the second phase will start from October 9th and will end with the Saturn retrograde. That is December 11th. Saturn moves back into his own nakshatra, that is Uttara Bhadrapada, and Jupiter shifts out of Cancer and moves into Leo. Now the cushion withdraws. This phase is heavier, more stable, and more raw, focused on building long term personal structure. This is where the real tangible decisions about your identity, your work, and your speech takes shapes. So expect commitments to deepen or quietly close. A quick note on Sadesati, Capricorn, if your moon is in Pisces, Aries, or Aquarius, this retrograde lands differently on you. Watch the section of for your moon sign as well, because your mind and emotions are also under Saturn's review right now. And even if your moon is not in any of these signs, we still recommend you to watch this from your moon sign as well to give a complete picture of how this transit lands on you. Now, without doing a further ado, let's understand what it means for you in your daily lives. Starting with the placement perspective, where is Saturn placed? Now, Saturn is currently placed in your third house. The third house is our Parakramastana, the house of courage, communication, our daily efforts, skills, our sibling, our short trips. Now, third house is also the Upchaya house. The and Saturn does extremely well in Upchaya house. So even during retrograde, this placement carries real strength and long-term gains, which are quietly forming. Now, Saturn retrograde does not deny you these third house themes permanently. It merely delays them to ensure your effort is built on real mastery. And always remember that direct Saturn says build forward slowly and seriously, and retrograde Saturn says go back, finish what you have left, and then you move forward with clarity. For example, from healing that your hard work is invisible and undervalued, that no one truly sees your daily efforts, to standing in quiet confidence of mastery, where your work speaks louder than any explanation ever could. So, let us see what can come to surface to achieve this beautiful transformation. If a skill, a hobby, or a creative pursuit you abandoned years ago has been calling you, Saturn will quietly reopen the file, an old course, a writing project, a podcast idea, or a marketing plan. Saturn rewards completion and not constant new beginning. On your daily efforts, you will find yourself pausing to ask: Is my hustle actually building something, or am I just keeping myself busy? Old habits of overworking without direction will surface for a honest review. Now, there is also mirror effect which will kick in. Saturn is your Lagna Lord, and so any frustration with your daily work is showing you something about your own internal pattern. So, stop blaming the circumstances and take ownership of your structure. Remember, Jupiter, your third lord, is exalted and is there in your seventh house, aspecting Saturn directly, at least until October. So, creative blocks or communication frustration won't become permanent walls but will deepen into real mastery. Expect a reality check around your sibling relationship, older, younger sibling matter, old comparison, or unspoken tension. This may resurface for honest closure during this 4 months. Now, your communication style undergoes quite a bit real overhaul. The way you write, speak, present, and market yourself becomes more deliberate. The words you choose now will be remembered for years. Old misunderstanding, forgotten emails, or pending documentation issue will also resurface. Saturn demands you to double check your words, and paperwork to avoid costly errors. A short trip, a move, workshop, or a course you postponed long ago may demand and resurface again. So Saturn wants you to finish what all was left half done. And for Capricorn, content writing, podcast, or media related work demands far more discipline than usual. And so, if you are in any of these fields, expect a hard but worthwhile audit of your craft. Now, a sudden wave of self doubt or temporary lack of motivation will challenge your willpower. Saturn is testing your inner resilience, pushing you to rely on discipline over temporary inspiration. Now, let's talk about Saturn's lordship, how this will impact you. Saturn rules your first house and your second house. Now, this makes Saturn's single most important planet in the entire chart. So, this retrograde impacts you more deeply than any other ascendant. First house represents self, body, personality, our life force, vitality. And when the first lord goes retrograde in the third house, that means as a Lagna lord, your physical stamina and personal speed will naturally drop. Use this phase to reflect and realign your personal goals. Pay attention on daily health routine. Your sense of self gets tied directly to your daily work. Saturn quietly asks who you are when you stop achieving. Now, past versions of yourself will come back for honest reckoning. Old habits, old pattern, old beliefs about who you are will be on the surface. Now, the way you present yourself, speak, and walk into the room undergoes a real overhaul during these months. Sibling matters connects deeply with your personality, identity, and old comparison, unresolved tension will return for a beautiful closure. Now, a short journey, a move, a course, a postpone, a workshop you abandoned may demand completion now. Yourself, your Lagna, yourself is going to the third house, so you will focus on these areas. Now, Saturn rules your second house as well. Second house is our house for wealth, speech, food, and it is going retrograde in the third house. Means your wealth now flows directly through your own efforts, which is good. The classic treat this as an excellent self-made wealth combination, but retrograde means past patterns returns for cleaning up first. Old debts, EMIs, and saving habits come up for an honest review. Trim the financial fat before December. Your speech and communication becomes directly tied to your income. How you speak now determines how you earn. Now, family unresolved conversation may demand more of your daily energy. Tensions you avoided earlier will surface for her resolution. Saturn is forcing you to fix this old verbal rifts with maturity instead of sweeping them under the rug. Now, eating habits, food, and oral health demands attention. Saturn brings discipline here before gentle restriction. Take care of your tooth health as well. Now, you may focus on unconventional ways to accumulate wealth or family assets due to Rahu's presence being there in the second house. So be watchful. Now, let's talk about the aspects. Saturn has three powerful aspects sitting from the third house. First aspect of Saturn will fall onto the fifth house, where you can see the sign of Taurus. So, fifth house means your children, romance, creativity, intelligence, speculation comes under disciplinary review. Casual love or surface level romance will not survive in this transit. Blocked creative ideas will demand your attention. Children may also demand more attention than usual. Past behavioral issues with your first child may surface to resolve, and speculation and quick money plans face strict restriction. Saturn wants depth in love and seriousness and creativity, and nothing less than that. Now, next is the seventh aspect, which will fall on the ninth house, where you can see the sign of Virgo. Now, your father, your guru, your dharma, and your long distance plans comes into the focus. So, unresolved issues with your father, your mentor, guru relationship left unfinished will come to the surface, or a foreign opportunity you let go years ago may resurface for completion. Father's health or an old disagreement with mentor will require your attention. Higher studies, courses, or travel plans which you postponed or abandoned long time ago now wants a closure. Saturn is asking you to rebuild your dharmic foundation through your own efforts from the third house. Now, the 10th aspect of Saturn will be on the 12th house, where you can see the Sagittarius sign. This means your sleep, your foreign matters, the expenses, and your private inner life comes under quiet review. So, subconscious anxieties will flow to the surface. Saturn forces discipline in how you rest, what you spend, and how you withdraw. So, foreign opportunity may come but face delay. Expenses on hospital isolation or hidden matters may rise during these months. Before the retro end, Saturn will force you to cut out energetic drains and focus on meditation or mental rest. Now, the best remedy for this is donating medication to people in need. So, this may reduce whatever we have spoken on hospitalization or expenses on hospital. Now, let us summarize the tips and takeaways for you, Capricorn. The do's are that soften your self talk. You are a big self critic, so not in this phase, Capricorn, because Saturn rules you. Under retrograde, your inner critic gets more louder, and speak to yourself gently the way you would speak to a friend. Now, take real breaks. Capricorn are built to grind. So, Saturn retrograde is asking you to stop, slow down, and rest because your effort means more when you are restored. So, reconnecting with your sibling, a call or a visit, or an old conversation close quietly will free up your daily energy with them around. Now, go back and master the absolute basic of your professional or technical skills. Third house is calling that. Refine your communication, write more carefully, speak with intention. Saturn rewards measured words and punishes harsh ones in the second and the third house. Recheck all your paperwork, especially Mercury will also be retrograde during July month, so you need to double check all the paperwork. Do safeguard your family savings, restructure your household budget, build daily discipline and not daily intensity. A small consistent practice will outperform any burst of efforts during these months. Serve the underprivileged, offer food, water, teach or coach, use your third house skills and teach them for free, and perform manual labor to softer Saturn retro pressure. Strengthen Saturn through Hanumanji. Recite Hanuman Chalisa on Saturday. Light a mustard or sesame oil lamp facing west every Saturday and chant Om Sham Shanishcharaya Namaha. And few of the don'ts for you, Capricorn, is do not be harsh with yourself, that I have already spoken. Don't deliver a blunt ultimatum, especially to your family members. Do not start any major new course, businesses, or commitments impulsively. You can start, but double check. Uh, I would recommend that wait for clarity after October. Do not speak in haste or sign new deals in haste. The second lord under retrograde punishes careless words very quickly. Now, avoid impulsive short trips, sudden vehicle purchases, unverified financial schemes, speculative stocks, or unplanned moves during this period. Do not skip your routine or daily effort. Saturn reward consistency far more than enthusiasm. Do not isolate completely, Capricorn. Saturn tense aspect on the 12th will pull you toward a more solitude, but still stay connected. And do not silence your inner voice. Your intuition is sharper now than usual. So, Capricorn, Jupiter gave you the blessing of strong partnership and public goodwill this year on June 2nd, sitting exalted and fine and nice in your seventh house. Now, Saturn, your own Lagna Lord, is now asking you to make sure that you yourself are built strong enough to carry those blessings forward. So trust the pause. This retro is here to make you the foundation, everything else stand on it. And Saturn retrograde feels different for everyone. How it lands for you depends on your own chart and your running the shop. So, for a personal reading on exactly how this plays out for you, do reach out to us on the mobile number and the email ID given on the screen. All the best to all the Capricorn rising.
Welcome to all the Aquarius rising. So, for an Aquarius ascendant, Saturn is not just any other planet. It is actually your Lagan Lord, representing your physical body, identity, your entire life's direction. It also rules your 12th house, that is the Capricorn, expenditure, isolation, foreign lands, and the subconscious mind. So for Aquarius, Saturn is actually you yourself. So when the Lagan Lord turns retro into the second house, Pisces, the house of earned wealth, liquid assets, speech, family values, dietary habits, it creates a highly critical, deeply financial audit and vocal audit too. Yes. Pisces brings a vast, fluid energy into this house of tangible resources. Because your identity lord is turning intensely inward here, you are forced to reevaluate how you sustain yourself, how you speak your truth, and what you truly value. So now the placement, the weight of the shield. The second house is where you sustain your life. With your Lagan Lord getting retro here, the universe is asking you to completely re engineer your relationship with money, family, and self worth. So here, Saturn will act as a financial auditor. You will feel an immense, invisible internal pressure to fix your financial pipeline Because Saturn is retrograde. This manifests as a self imposed financial stress. You might feel hyper responsible for your family's financial security or feel an urgent need to correct past monetary mistakes. It's better you do it now. The dietary and the speech auditor. Second house directly rules what goes into your mouth, food, and what comes out of it, that is your speech. Saturn retrograde acts as a strict doctor and communication monitor. If you have been using poor dietary habits to cope up with stress, or if your speech has been chaotic or overly defensive, this transit forces you to permanently correct these two areas of life. There could be shift in our personal value. As an Aquarius ascendant, your natural instinct is to give your energy away to groups and networks. 11th house of Kalpurush Kundli. Saturn retrograde in your second house forces you to find value within yourself, within your family. It strips away your ability to sell yourself short, teaching you that setting strict financial and personal boundaries is a necessity. Now, what major things you can expect during this 4.5 months period from this transit? Wealth restructuring. Yes. Expect old, unresolved financial accounts, tax issues, or budgeting error to land back on your desk. Saturn retrograde demands absolute perfection in how you track your net worth. Shortcuts taken months ago will reappear for rigorous corrections. In case any taxes were not paid, they may come up. There could be delayed in financial inflows. If you are waiting for a rise, an investment payout, or a family inheritance, the outcome may seem temporary stalled. Saturn is ensuring that your financial documentation, long term plans are completely aligned before releasing the funds. 12th Lord getting retro into the second house. Resurfacing of family obligations, yes. Long standing family debts or an unaddressed issues within your immediate family circle will demand your close attention. This period requires meticulously, patiently, and systematically clearing your obligations. Yes, this would actually require a lot of work at your end. A change in eating habits, the dreamy Pisces influence combined with strict discipline of Saturn will push you to abandon erratic diet schedules which you were following. You will feel a sudden urge to structure your meals and cut out substance that dulls your physical body. It's very important that you listen to your body. Friction with the family structure, you might experience a temporary emotional withdrawal or stiffness from family members. This forces you to stand firmly on your feet and define your value independently. There could be deep psychological detox of self-worth. 12th lord getting retro in the second house. So the internal enemies here are financial anxiety, a scarcity mindset, or a lack of self-belief. Saturn retrograde acts as a spiritual auditor general, forcing you to dismantle these mental blocks and move ahead. So, the crux of this placement is how you spend, how you carry yourself will directly impact how you earn for yourself. Now, we'll come at the lordships. The first and the 12th lord getting retro in the second house. See, because Saturn carries your own physical self, that is first house energy, and your subconscious foreign energies, 12th house into the house of wealth and family. The dynamic is intensely concentrated. First house and second, that is personal stability. Your entire focus shift towards your resources. You are learning that your physical vitality and life path are completely dependent on how well you manage your assets, your family, and what you feed your mind and body. 12th lord getting retro in second, investing the hidden. Your capacity for solitude, behind the scene work, and dealing with foreign resources can be weaponized to build your net worth. While expenses might feel restricted or require tight control right now, your ability to plunk financial leaks is vastly magnified. For an Aquarius rising having Saturn, the lord of both the first and the 12th house in second house, basically urges a deep introspection. of your finances, your speech, and your family life. You might experience shift or delay in income or feel compelled to reevaluate your long-term financial planning and spending habits. This period also emphasizes being mindful of your own words and maintaining harmonious connections with the loved ones. See, Saturn has the tendency to give you a very harsh speech. So be very, very mindful of your words, because harsh words spoken can actually create issues with your family matters. To navigate this phase effectively, you should try to avoid making impulsive financial decisions, entering into new commitments, or participating in any potentially risky expenditures. Now, sitting in the second house, Saturn will cast three aspects. The first aspect, that is the third aspect, will be on the fourth house, Taurus. Saturn casts a cautious eye on your life, home life, fixed assets, and inner peace. This encourages you to be highly conservative with real estate and ensure you put strict and practical boundaries around your domestic life. Do not sign any property documents in haste. Now, seventh aspect will be on the eighth house, that is the Virgo. Saturn directly faces your house of joint finances, taxes, sudden transformations. This acts as a strict financial brake, demanding complete transparency in shared assets, wills, and insurance policies. In case you were expecting closure of insurance policies, expect a delay during this period. Now, 10th aspect will fall on your 11th house, Sagittarius. This is the aspect of duty through income. It brings a serious tone to your social circle, elder siblings, and long term gains. It demands that you earn your income through disciplined ethical efforts and cut ties with superficial networks that offer no real substance. It is very important that you reconsider your social gatherings, your social surroundings, and be very mindful of choosing your people. So, this retrograde marks a deeply transformational phase for your self worth. Why? Because this retrograde motion is clearly divided into two parts. From July 27 to October 9th, Saturn retrogrades through Revati Nakshatra, which is ruled by Mercury. During this window, Jupiter offers its ninth aspect on the Saturn, creating a financial cushion. This serves as a gentle reflective audit. It gives you the space to unearth hidden financial leaks, quietly rethink your saving strategy, and resolve family misunderstandings with minimal damage. Post October, that is from October 9th to 11th December, this cushion slips away as Saturn retrogrades back into its own domain of Uttara Padrapada and Jupiter transits to Leo. So, here, as your Lagna Lord Saturn stands completely exposed as a rigorous taskmaster, the safety nets are pulled back, initiating the real test of your self worth. You will be forced to take tough decisions, concrete financial adjustments, and the precise results of how responsibly you value your time, assets will become very clear. Now, there are few practical tips, warning, and remedies for an Aquarius ascendant. Since your Lagan Lord is getting retro, adopt a Saturday routine of financial seva. The second house handles the basic substance, spending time or resources on Saturdays feeding the poor, donating grains, or helping low income workers clear the basic food and living costs directly honors Saturn's energy. See, 12th Lord getting retro can also give rise to hospital expenses. It's the best remedy to counter effect is donating medicines to any orphanage or an old age home or maybe hospitals. Warning against harsh speech or financial escapism. Because the second house is a fluid Pisces, emotional stress can cause you to speak in an erratic, defensive manner. Watch your words. Similarly, avoid the temptation to blindly overspend on desires or retail therapy to mask internal anxieties. Meticulously organize your cash ledger. Yes, second house. Bring flawless order to your finances. Track every single rupee or dollar that enters and exits your bank account. Eliminate the financial ambiguity completely. Takes away the mental weight and anxiety of this transit. Respect the intake of body, very, very important. Establish strict and unshakable eating and drinking windows because Pisces represent fluid system and the second house is food consumption. Cut out toxic, heavy foods and focus on clean hydration. This serves as a direct physical remedy to ground your Lagan Lord. See, there is one more aspect for Aquarius moon actually, the Sadesati dynamic. So, if your moon is placed in Aquarius, this retrograde transit does not just affect your house of finances, it marks a milestone. You are actually navigating the last phase of your 7.5 years of Saturn Sadesati. Because the moon rules your mind, emotions, and psychological security, Saturn's retrograde motion into your second house from moon sign signifies the final clear up of your life's narrative. The peak identity shattering pressure of the rising phase and the core transit over your natal moon are officially now behind you. Saturn is standing at the exit door of your emotional matrix, conducting its final exit interview. In the second house, the focus shifts entirely from who I am to how do I sustain myself and what have I learned about my true value in the 7.5 years. This retrograde will cause a temporary reassurance of the core themes of the last 7.5 years: isolation, heavy responsibilities, or feeling of being unappreciated by your immediate circle. It is a cosmic stress test to ensure you don't fall back into old habits and old mindset. Saturn is forcing you to take upon that painful wisdom gained during Sade Sati to build a new you. I'm not saying that this will be an easy sail, but however, there are few practical tips to overcome the final phase of Sade Sati. Shift from grief to practical application. Understand that the heavy depressive emotional fog you may have carried since 2020 is reaching its final expiration date. Stop thinking about what went wrong and start focusing on what lies ahead. Treat this retrograde as a business meeting with your future. Focus entirely on asset building, upgrading your skills, and taking care of your family duties. Practice absolute speech fasting, mona, under provocation. The final phase of Sarasati often tests persons through family dispute, false accusations that trigger intense frustration. So, when triggered by family members, practice restraint. Do not try to vindicate yourself or lash out in anger. Let your silent, consistent action do the talking. Anchor your roots. Honor your ancestors or elderly family members, particularly on Saturdays. Taking care of an aging relative or resolving a long standing family responsibility act as a major karmic release for you, especially during this Sadesati period. Cultivate financial security. Sadesati's final phase deliberately pinches the liquid cash flow and creates unexpected expenses to teach you resourcefulness. Do not panic when money goes out for unnecessary duties. View every expense as a karmic debt being paid off and cleared from your cosmic ledger forever. Quietly recite mantra Om Sham Shanischaraय Nama because this infuses the mind with the structural discipline and patience which is required to sail through the silent phase smoothly. Now, the final takeaway for all the Aquarius rising would be, so this retrograde period in your second house is a masterclass in personal worth. Do not fear the financial tightening or the family friction. Let this reverse motion be your time. You systematically secure your asset, purify your speech, and claim your true value. Saturn retrograde feels different for everyone. How it lands for you entirely depends on your own chart and the current dasha you are running. So, for a personal reading to know exactly how this retrograde motion plays out for you, do reach out to us on mobile number or email ID given on the screen. So, all the best to all the Aquarius rising.
Welcome to all the Pisces rising. Pisces Saturn retrograde is here from July 27 to December 11th, 2026. And for you, this is the most personal retrograde of all the 12 ascendants, other than Capricorn, because Saturn is sitting right on your Lagna. This transit is asking you to slow down, look at yourself with honesty, and rebuild who you are from the inside. Here is why it matters specifically for you. The classics like Faldipika and Brihad Parashari Horashastra tells us that a retrograde planet gains massive emotional strength, that is the Chishta Bal. Its karmic lessons becomes highly concentrated for 4.5 months starting on July 27th. Now, moving backward through Pisces itself, your own sign, Saturn is at the most powerful right now, and he is sitting on a very house that defines you. Now, this is honestly one of the heaviest placement in the chart, but it is also one of the most transformative. Now, also pay attention to the two phases this retrograde is going to bring. I will share it with you. The first phase will be from July 27 to October 9th. Saturn is retrograde in Revati Nakshatra during this first phase, but Jupiter is still expecting from your fifth house. So the review feels cushioned by your own ruler. Revati is ruled by Mercury and it forces you to analyze your identity, your daily presentation, your communication, and the mask you are wearing. Now, external progress will feel slow, but internally, Saturn brings real clarity, showing you which part of you is real and which are simply roles you outgrew. Now, use this first half to let go, Pisces. Now, the second phase is from October 9 to December 11th when Saturn moves back into its own nakshatra Uttara Bhadrapada and Jupiter shifts out from Cancer and moves into Leo. Now the question withdraws. This phase is heavier, more stable, and more focused on building long term personal structure. This is where the real, tangible reshaping of your identity takes shape. So expect the new version of yourself being forming quietly here. Now, a critical note on Sadesati for Pisces. Pisces, if your moon is also in Pisces, you are right now in a peak phase of your 7.5 years of Sadesati. This means Saturn is transiting directly over your Janma Rashi, your moon sign itself. And this is the heaviest emotional phase for the entire Sadhasati cycle. Combined with Saturn retrograde, the inner pressure during this 4.5 months will feel particularly heavy. Mental restlessness, emotional fatigue, deep self questioning, and old wounds resurfacing are all part of this intensity. This is not you in your head, this is real astrology that we are talking about. But here is what the classic also teach us, that peak sadhasati is not punishment, it is the deepest maturation cycle Saturn ever offers to us, and those who honor it with patiently emerges with real wisdom, real authority, and the kind of quiet inner strength that nothing in life can shake. So trust this process, sit with what comes up. Do not try to push past the difficult feeling. They are showing you the version of yourself you no longer need to carry. And if your moon is in Aries, Aquarius, then also you need to watch the section of your moon sign as well, because your mind and emotions are equally under Saturn's review and you are under Sadesati. Now, even if your moon is not in any one of these signs, we still recommend you to watch this from your moon sign as well to give the complete picture or to get the complete picture of how this transit lands on you. Now, without doing a further ado, now let's see what this means in your daily life from the placement perspective. Now, Pisces Saturn has already been transiting in your first house since March 2025. So, you are familiar with this heavy daily workload and the external pressure he brings. But this retrograde turns inwards. It acts like an invisible brake on your nervous system, making your daily routine feel twice as draining. Saturn is now asking you to repay an old physical death. So, any lack of sleep, poor nutrition, or ignored exhaustion from your past quietly surfaces, catches up with you now. You may feel quietly unsure of yourself, your looks, your decisions, your worth, even when life is otherwise seems stable. Now, this is not depression, this is Saturn's review. So, your face, your skin, your hair may go through visible changes. Saturn ages the body slightly during the retrograde here. Now, if your body feels heavier, slower, or more demanding, an old health pattern quietly resurfaces. Saturn is signaling a mandatory pit stop for you, so pay attention without any panic. Do not lean on caffeine, stimulants, or sheer willpower to push through these months. Your energy will crash. So, adjust your daily routine and pacing now, and long term vitality will skyrocket later. Now, personal projects, fitness routine, or self improvement plans you abandoned months ago will return to your mind. So go back and fix it. You will realize that the external delays are simply mirror of your own internal hesitation. So stop looking for external validation and take complete mature ownership and take charge of your own life timeline. Now, an old identity, a role you quietly outgrew years ago, may demand a final ceremony of letting go before December. And now you know exactly what Saturn is asking from you from this retrograde. So honor the slowdown, and the next version of you walks out of December genuinely restored. And remember, your own Lagna Lord is exalted. So take Jupiter's blessing and face the Saturn retro, and you can heal and grow from any hindrances of your life. Now let's talk about the Saturn's lordship for you and how does it impact you. Saturn is your 11th lord. 11th house represents gains, network, friendship, our wishes and desires. So your gains, your friends and long-term wishes are now tied directly to your identity. So you yourself become the source. This is very good, Pisces. Now past friendship can return for a review. People who lost touch with quietly come back. Some to stay, others to close the chapter permanently. Saturn is aggressively filtering your network to show who is genuinely loyal. Now, your long pending wishes can go through honest filtering. Saturn will keep what is aligned and quietly release what is not. Now, networking and large social scale events may feel heavier than usual. Solitude calls more strongly in these 4.5 months. Now, income tied to network or large group may slow down or restructure during these months. So, this pause forces you to rely on meticulous budgeting rather than easy shortcuts. Now, Saturn also rules your 12th house, which represents expenditure, foreign, isolation, our sleep, spirituality. And when 12th Lord goes retro in the first house, that means past expenses, hospital visits, isolation patterns, or hidden losses may resurface for completion. Sleep can turn lighter, vivid dreams may return, and your relationship with rest itself can go into a change. This happens all the more because Rahu being present in your 12th house right now. Now, foreign matters or distant connection that were pushed may quietly return for resolution. You may feel pulled inward towards solitude, towards your own spiritual practice. So, honor this and do not fight it, Pisces. Old patterns of withdrawal, sadness, or self loss may resurface or may surface, and Saturn wants to retire all of these for good. Now, Jupiter, your own Lagna Lord, is exalted in the fifth and aspecting Saturn directly. So, inner reviews will not crush you, but mature you into stronger version of yourself, at least until October. Now, let us talk about now. Before we go to aspect this hospitalization point, which is coming from your 12th Lord, there is a potent remedy that I want to share right here, which is donation of medicines or medications to a poor and needy will can always save our hospitalization or anything related to hospital. So do that and share with us in the comment box what is your experience with it. Now let's talk about the aspects. Saturn has three aspects. So from the first house, the first aspect of Saturn will fall on your third house. That is where you can see the sign of Taurus. Now, your communication, courage, skills, and sibling matters will come under review. So, old hobbies demands completion. Sibling tensions return for resolution. The way you speak and write undergoes restructuring. Sudden wave of self doubt may challenge your willpower. Now, Saturn is testing your resilience here, so pushing you to rely on discipline over temporary inspiration. Now, the next aspect, the seventh aspect, will fall on the seventh house, which is on the Virgo sign, on your marriage house. Your marriage, your business partnership, and your one on one relationship come into focus. Now, existing partnership are tested for genuine alignment. past business connections may resurface. New marriage decisions face delay until real clarity arrives. So expect sudden text from your ex or find old unhealed relationship. Saturn is bringing this back to see if you have really truly grown. Now, setting firm boundaries and clearing our toxic one sided partnership cosmic necessity over this 4 months will happen now. And finally, the 10th aspect is on the 10th house, which is, we can see the Sagittarius sign there, number 9. Now, your career, your status, your public reputation, and your karma in the world comes under quiet review. So, recognition may delay, authority figures or senior may test your patience. Sloppy mistakes from past mistakes you made in old projects may resurface. Face the criticism gracefully and fix it. Expect heavy workload, expect coldness, micromanagement, or hidden tension with your bosses or mentors. Stay humble, Pisces, and let Saturn handle the corporate politics. You may re-evaluate your career direction itself in this phase, and it may need restructuring. So it's a good time to review your workplace and your profile. Now, let us summarize for you all the takeaways that we have discussed so far. First is soften your self judgment, Pisces. Saturn on your Lagna will make you feel inadequate even when you are not. So, speak to yourself gently and watch the inner critic carefully. Do not or do master the art of saying no and honor your body. Go for a walk barefoot, eat warm food, sleep on time. Saturn in Lagna is asking the body for a discipline and not for any punishment. Now honor your spiritual teachers and inner guide. Even small acknowledgement matters. Do audit your subconscious media intake, especially at night, since 12th Lord is retrograding. Do not seek solitude and quiet reflection and invest in physical grounding. Now, donate clean drinking water, umbrellas, or comfortable footwear for people in need. This honors Saturn and cleanses karmic blockage currently sitting on your physical body in your first house, and strengthens Saturn through Hanumanji. Recite Hanuman Chalisa on Saturdays, light a mustard or sesame oil lamp facing west every Saturday evening, and chant Om Sham Shanischaraya Namaha. And few of the don'ts for you Pisces is do not believe the inner voice that I am not enough, and don't adopt the victim mindset in this phase. Do not start cosmetic surgeries, drastic appearance changes, or impulsive identity overhauls during this period. Do not lend money to friends or invest in network based schemes. Double check everything before you invest. Do not make career changes impulsively. The 10th aspect on your career house demands reviews and not action. Not yet. And don't ghost your trusted advisor, mentors, elder sibling, or friends. Do not ignore minor signs of bodily pain. This is very, very important. And do not silence your inner voice. Your intuitions are sharper now than usual. So, Pisces Jupiter, your own ruler, gave you the blessing of creativity, inner wisdom, and a beautiful spotlight on your gifts this year on 2nd of July. Now, sitting very exalted and beautifully in your fifth house. Now, Saturn sitting directly on your Lagna is now asking you to make sure that you, the person carrying those gifts, are or is built strong enough to hold them with real grace. Now, trust this pause. The retro is here to mature you from the inside. So, the version of you that walks out in the month of December is unshakable. Now, Saturn retrograde feels differently for everyone. How it lands for you depends on your own chart and the dasha you're running. So, for a personal reading on exactly how this plays out for you, do reach out to us on the number or the email ID shown on the screen. And best wishes to all the Pisces rising. And that brings us to the end of this episode. Before we close, one gentle reminder: why Saturn retrograde comes every year is because growth is impossible without a review, and we all need this review. Now, Rinky, before I sign off, I would love to hear your closing thoughts.
See, I feel that for this is for every ascendant, irrespective you are running your Sadesati or Ashtam Dhaiya, do not fear this Saturn's retrograde motion. It is actually journey inwards. So focus on your inner well-being. Trust me,
Yeah.
you will sail through it.
Yeah, thank you, Rinki. It is always so grounding to record these with you. And to all you listening, if this episode brought you any clarity, please do subscribe, share it with someone walking through their own Saturn lessons, and tell us in the comment box if which ascendant you are watching for. And until the next time, chant Om Sham Shanishcharai Namaha to honor Saturn, our Shani Dev, who guides this review, and also chant Om Brihaspate Namaha to honor Jupiter Brihaspati, who is currently exalted and who is protecting us through it. And may both deities guide our pause and bless our progress. Bye for now. Jai Hari Vitthal.
Jai Hari Vitthal.